Good afternoon. Hello and welcome to the Simon Says Stamp YouTube channel. We're really excited about class today. I'm going to take a minute while everybody joins along because we're live now and say hello to everybody before I introduce our wonderful teacher. And I'm already in the chat seeing there are people literally from all over the place. Pennsylvania, Arizona, Woolley, Washington. Karen Henry's excited for the class. So am I, Karen. I'm so excited to get to do this with Gina. Oh my gosh. She's waiting off to the side. She'll be coming in a minute, but I wanted to make sure we got us started. I want to remind everybody who's live today that you can pause this video at any time if you need to. And if you're watching us on rewatch, you get the extra added benefit that you can actually fast forward us if you need to, but I don't think there's going to be much reason to fast forward us. Welcome to our first online virtual class with Gina K from Gina K Designs. Let's bring in Gina and say hello. Gina, welcome.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be so much fun today.
Oh, I'm excited too. One thing that I hope that the people who are watching are ready for is my favorite part about this class, because I did get a little bit of a sneak preview for everybody to make sure we had all the lighting and sound and everything set up for everybody, is Gina is really going to teach us some fun ways to mass produce, and also the joy a lot of times in making is in the end when you assemble. She's going to take us through the very beginning, some really special parts for assembly, so or for creating now so that we can assemble later. So be patient early on. You're going to be making so many flowers. These bold blooms are incredible. Speaking of, I want to remind everybody before Gina gets started, we are pinning in the chat. Tara is moderating today. If it's not pinned yet, she will be pinning soon. If you do not have a kit, we do have the Gina exclusives for this class pinned at the top of the chat, because we do still have some that we saved for today. So if you're watching today and you don't have a kit, you can still participate with these beautiful bold bloom stamps, dies, and the accessories. And Gina, I think that the ink is still only available through this class. Is that right?
That's correct. And you just have the last of it. We don't have any more. We're waiting for our big shipment. It's going to be a little while still. So if you want these ink colors, get that bundle that's pinned up in the chat.
So yeah. Gina, do you want to go through the kit and show everybody what's included in the full kit for the students?
I do. And the one thing that I want to say to anybody that's just joining, I've been reading a little bit of the comments, and I know some people are a little bit nervous about keeping up. And other people, some of you have been stamping for 30 years, and other people here have been stamping for 30 minutes because they got drafted into doing this with a friend. So what I want to just say is what we're going to do today is we're going to try to not go too slow for our experienced crafters, but not go too fast for our newer crafters. But remember, this video, like Heidi said, you can rewind if you need to see something again, or if you're more the type that likes to watch it through one time, you can do that, because this video will be on rewatch and you can watch it over and over and over again and make use of the pause button if that works better for you. So there's no pressure. It's not a race. Today is just about relaxing and enjoying crafting. And with that thought in mind, there is one item that's not in your kit that you are going to need today, and that is just a half sheet of any color cardstock. But it has to be a color, not white. So just grab a spare half sheet of cardstock from your stash and include that in the kit. And that'll give you some time to get that ready while I show you what's inside this kit. Heidi, I'm so excited about these cards. Are you excited?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Heidi and I love color. We both love color so much that when we were planning this kit, we decided we had to do a complete rainbow. So every card that I made and that Heidi, well, I don't know what Heidi's going to do. You never know what Heidi's going to do. But all the cards that I made are rainbow colored cards. Now, remember, these are just suggestions. You can do yours any way that you want, and you certainly won't offend me. In fact, I can't wait to see your twist. So I hope that you will share your cards afterwards. And what's the hashtag, Heidi?
Hashtag, if you were going to share what you're making, of us people watching us live and on rewatch, is SSS Bold Blooms. So that's
Excellent.
plural, blooms, SSS, bold blooms. And then you can see what everybody else is making, and Gina and I can see what you guys are making with us too.
Yeah, I can't wait. That's one of my favorite parts about teaching a class, is seeing what everybody else does with their own twist. All right, so shall we get started with showing the kit?
Absolutely. Tossing
All
it
right.
over to you.
So, okay, sounds good. All right, so the first thing here is I have these 3 cards. These are the cards we're gonna make today. I know that you've got peeks of them on different social media graphics that you've seen, but these are what we're going to make today. So I'm gonna show you what comes inside of the kit, just in case you haven't gotten the kit and you're going to craft along by maybe using some of the individual pieces that you are going to purchase today, or if you're using something in your own stash. So you're going to need 4 8.5 by 11 sheets of white cardstock and 2 8.5 by 11 sheets of black cardstock. That came in the kit, and this cardstock is really a nice quality. Then also in the kit, you get your Pawsitively Everything tool. That's great for putting your ink cubes on there when you're inking them up, or if you have your coffee, you can put your coffee on it. It makes a great coaster. It's also a really great tool for when you're heat embossing and you want to put your heat embossing tool that's hot onto something and you don't want to burn your wood table. So this is a great tool, and everybody gets one of these in their kit. Then there are blending brushes. Now, some people got different color blending brushes, and some people got all the same color blending brushes. Either way is great. If you got all different colors, then you can coordinate the colors of the blending brushes with your ink colors. If you got all the same, and you're a little bit like me, where the handle can be distracting, you can just look at the brush head for the color. And so that actually might be better for some of you to have all the same colors, so you don't inadvertently pick up a brush with a blue handle that has yellow ink on it. Your ink on the brush head will tell you what brush to pick up. But you get 4 of these smaller blending brushes, and then 3 of these. They're a little bit bigger. They're not the biggest ones, but they're a little bit bigger. And then everybody in their kit got a sucker, and I got mine here, so I might eat that later. Okay, now you also get in this kit 8 ink cubes, and 4 of them are the new Gina K Designs exclusive colors. So for the Simon colors, you got apple, sherbet, violet, and black. And the brand new Gina K Designs colors are marigold, Kelly green, cadet blue, and petunia. Perfect colors for summer. And this is a great rainbow starter kit. If you're newer to crafting and you're watching this video and you're thinking, what color should I start with? Boy, this is a fantastic collection to start your ink cube collection. And then you get this beautiful, I love this set. I'm telling you, I've been playing with it like crazy. I even made extra cards for you guys. You get the beautiful Bold Summer Blooms stamp set. This is a 6x8 stamp set, and the quality of these stamps is amazing. I was able to stamp them immediately out of the package with no prep at all. So kudos to you, Heidi. You always make great high quality products. Then you get the Bold Summer Blooms die set. And the nice thing about this is every single image that's in this set is also in the die set. And they're already detabbed, so you can just pick them right off and you're ready to go, which is great if you're just opening your box now and wanted to be surprised with what's inside. Then you get this fantastic Bold Summer Blooms plate. This is a cover plate. It's designed to coordinate with all of the Gina K Designs master layouts, the way we do our cover plates. We made this the same size as our cover plates. This way, if you're into that series and you have our master layouts 2 die set, you can use this cover plate with it to create a shadow layer. And this is really fun because it works beautifully with the coordinating coloring stencils that work with the stamp sets, with the cover plate. And these flowers are so unique that you can even use these coloring stencils without the stamps and the dies to create some of those more ephemera, simple looking pieces. So that is, oh, and you also get a little bag of disco ball sequins, which I found out are Heidi's new favorite sequins. They go with everything, and they've got a holographic iridescence to them, which picks up whatever color they're around. So it gives it not just sparkle and shine, but like a splash of rainbow color in there too. So that is everything in this kit. It's pretty amazing. And I am so excited to get started with class. So what do you think, Heidi?
Don't forget about the glue. We'll need the glue. I think everybody has a little bit of glue in their kit too. Is that right?
Good.
The Gina
Yes.
K glue and some
Yes.
foam. So if you're prepping
I gotta
and you got
find
all
my
your
glue.
supplies, I did do the cards a little bit ahead of time, and the glue is
There it is.
fantastic
Yeah.
glue.
Yes, there is glue in there. Sorry about that. I put
it's
my
okay.
glue away. I've been making so many cards with this that I'm surprised I actually had everything in one place except the glue. All right. So one more reminder that everybody just needs 1/2 sheet of colored cardstock from your stash. Any color you want except white. Doesn't have to be high quality. I don't care what you use. This is just because we're going to make a template and we need it. All right. Well, shall we get started with class?
You guys ready to party?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Alrighty, switch to the top downs.
Yeah. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut our cardstock. We want to make sure that we have our cardstock cut properly so that we have enough for everything. And then through the magic of video, the two amazing Reed and Brian, right?
Yes, Reed and Brian are here
Yes.
moderating with us. Thank you guys
And-
helping with
and
all the lights.
They have done some magic here to put some sizing up on the screen for you, which is great. So the first thing we're going to do is cut our card bases. So you're going to need to get 1 sheet of the 8.5 by 11 cardstock. All right. And you're going to cut this in half at the 4 1/4 inch mark. So we're in this orientation here, and you're going to cut this at the 4 1/4 inch mark so that you're going to have 2 card bases that measure 4 1/4 by 11 inches. All right. Now we'll put those aside after you've cut those. And we're going to cut 1 more card base, and then we'll do our scoring for our card bases. So you'll need 1 more 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, and you're going to have it in horizontal orientation. And we're going to cut this one at the 5.5 inch mark. So this one will end up being 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. We're going to keep this other piece of cardstock off to the side because we're going to use it. But while we have our big paper cutter up here, let's continue on and cut some panels. We'll do the scoring at the very end. So let's cut some panels. So the panels that we're going to need are 3 white panels, and you can see the measurements there. Now I'm going to show you what I like to do before I cut those white panels. Is I like to just cut the piece of cardstock in half first, and that's at the 5.5 inch mark. Then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to cut it at the 3.5 inch mark, and then turn it and cut it at the 4 3/4 inch mark. So that gives us a panel that's 3.5 by 4 3/4. Now, for those of you that are overachievers and you do have our Master Layouts 2 die set, these are the same exact measurements as Master Layouts 2. So if you want to do that down the line, or you are watching on rewatch and you can pause and get all of that out, that's great. But we wanted to make sure that even if you don't have any special dies, that you can make all of these cards today. So we're going to cut a second one of those at 3.5 inches by 4 3/4 inch. So now we have 2. And then we're going to cut 1 more of those at 3.5 inches by 4 3/4 inch. All right, we've got 3 panels there, so we could do a checkbox on that first line. Check. And I think we've got just enough here that we could probably use that for something else, but I'm going to toss these 2 and give you guys a chance to catch up. All righty. Now we do have one more piece of 8.5 by 11 white, and we're going to cut that in half at the 5.5 inch mark. We're going to put one aside. And then this last one, we're jumping down to line 3, and we're cutting this one at 4.25 inches. And that gives us 2 4.25 inch by 5.5 inch panels. Now, if you like to be organized, you can put these 2 panels with your die plate, because that's what you're going to use to cut these out. And this way you won't mess anything up by using these for the wrong thing. These are going to be for our card panels that we made. These 2 half sheets we're going to stamp on, and then the rest are our card bases. So now we have all of our white cardstock cut. Now let's move to the black cardstock. Can you throw that graphic back up there one more time? Thank you so much.
Yep, sorry
So
about
we're
that.
going to, that's okay. So we're going to cut those 3 black panels, and we're going to cut them 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. Now, for those of you that are newer and you think that it's confusing to cut 5/8 of an inch, I'll show you a little trick. Let me see if my zoom works here, and I can zoom in a little bit at the top of my paper cutter. Okay, here we go. So what you're going to do to make this easier, first we're going to cut it at half at the 5.5 inch mark. All right. Now we're going to turn that piece of cardstock so it's in this position. And we're going to go to that 3.5 inch mark. And then we're just going to go up to that first little 1/8 of an inch. So 1/16, 1/8. And that is 3 5/8. So 2 little tick marks up. And we're going to cut that. Then we're going to do the same thing on this side, because we want to go 4 7/8. So we're going to start at 4 3/4, and then we're just going to go up 2 little tick marks to the 7/8 of an inch. So for those that get confused with the 7/8 or the 5/8, just go to the closest 1/2 or 1/4 inch and then jump up 2 tick marks and you're good. And that's going to give us that nice little shadow layer that we all love, that skinny shadow layer. Now we're going to do that 2 more times. We're going to finish with this leftover panel, and then we're going to cut 1 more out of this panel. So again, I'm going to the 3.5 inch mark. I'm going to go up 2 little tick lines and cut. And then I'm going to the 4 3/4 of an inch line and going up 2 little tick marks to the 7/8 and cut. And we'll do that 1 more time on this piece. We just wanted everybody to do this cutting because a lot of people asked if we were going to do homework. And we wanted to do this cutting together because we wanted to make sure that everybody had every piece of cardstock that they needed for this class. And sometimes you can just start cutting into something and realize, oh, I shouldn't have cut that because I needed that one to be a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. And this just makes it easy. All right, well, while you guys are getting caught up, I'm going to put this big paper cutter away, and I'm going to zoom out so we're not quite so close here. Okay.
I'm here. I'm doing great.
I'm listening for Heidi's cut marks. Oh, good. I can see her again. That's good.
Yes, I was trimming while you were speaking. And this is a good point to remind people that if they want to stop or rewind and take their time to do more cutting, you can't hurt anything if you stop the video or if you rewind it. You can always go back to it, so don't stress.
Right. And definitely you can even just pause, and then when you start playing again, it'll pick up from where you left off. We might be a few minutes ahead, but you won't miss a thing. All right, so now we're going to score those 3 card bases. We've got we've got one short one, and we've got 2 tall ones. So we've got these 2 tall ones here and this short one here. And I think you might want to switch back to my screen for a second, Reed. So
Reed
we're
and
going
Brian,
to.
It's just solo her.
you got me on.
Yeah.
It's okay. I know the backgrounds. Her background's gray,
Well,
like
I know.
lighter gray.
I know. We're exactly the same. Okay. So let's start with the shortcut one. We're going to score this one at the 4 1/4 inches. So a little tip for any of our brand new crafters out there: if you're not sure which way to fold once you do a score line, remember the words "bury the bump." So the bump is on the back here. You're going to bury that inside of the card. And the reason why we bury the bump is because when we press a score line into our paper, we actually stretch the fibers out, which allows the paper to bend without cracking. So bury the bump. The bump should be on the inside. Then we're going to score our tall ones at the I'm sorry, yeah, I said 4 1/4, at the 5 1/2 inch mark. And once again, we're gonna bury the bump. Bury your bump, Heidi.
I love, no matter how long we've been crafting, we can always learn new things, and the bury the bump is actually a helpful, fun thing I learned through Gina.
Yeah, that's, and I think that's always been a question for people, even people that have been crafting forever. Which way do I fold? And sometimes people don't want to ask those questions because they think that they should know. But remember, there is no stupid question. And sometimes when you ask a question, you're helping other people who might be too shy to ask. So if you have a question, you can always pop it in the chat, and Reed will scream it out to us, and we'll help the best that we can. Okay. You thought I said bury the bump? Bury it. Bury it like you're gardening. Okay, so now we have all of our panels and everything ready to go to assemble our cards. And it's time for us to do some stamping. So what we're going to do is we're going to first start with die cutting, because we're going to die cut a whole bunch of blank flowers. And this is a great way to mass produce your cards, and especially when you have a stamp set like this that has a million little pieces that you might want to stamp and die cut. Stamping and then die cutting each individual one is going to take a lot longer than doing this method. So we're going to do a little tricky method today. I'm going to back up a little bit here so I can get my die cutting machine in the picture. So I'm using the Intercut today. I don't know, Heidi, do you have a machine over there?
Oh yeah, I've got my machine out too, Gina. I will put you on the screen for the trimming so they can get a full view, but I'm going to trim with you.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, so I'm using the Intercut die cutting machine, and in order to get everything that we need out of this, there's a way that I need you to lay out the dies on the machine. And we need to save the piece that we die cut the first batch through. We need to save that, so don't throw that away because we're actually going to use it as a template. Okay, so I know that this is cut off down here, but don't worry, we're only going to be working with this part up here first. So I just threw all of my dies on a magnet to make it easy for you to see them. But what we're going to do is we're going to not do any words. We're just going to leave the words alone, and we're going to cut every other die, but we're going to do it all at once. Now, when you lay these out, make sure you lay them out so there's a little bit of space in between them. Doesn't have to be a lot of space, but just a little bit of space in between them. And cut them in a way that you have kind of 2 or 3 lines of dies. And the reason why I say this is because we're actually going to turn these into a little template. So we want to do the first pass this way. The rest of them, I don't care what you do, but this one, we definitely want to do it this way. I have a little piece of cardstock there. Okay, so we're going to cut this one first. I don't need my machine quite so tight. And I'm going to run that through. Okay. Now I've got all my die cut pieces here, and I'm just going to pile them up off to the side because we're going to do that 3 times because we're going to need 3 piles of flowers. So you can imagine that if we had to cut and then die cut each of these individually, it would take a very long time to do. So by doing this little template technique, although it takes a few minutes to create the templates, once you have them, you can save the templates and use them over and over again. On other days, you can just go back and just save these with your die set. And also, you can mass produce hundreds of these. So if you wanted to just make bits and pieces to use on future cards, you certainly can. So now I don't care where you put the rest of these. We just want to make sure that we leave a little bit of room for our greetings on our second sheet of cardstock. So we don't want to just spread them out real big. Just get them close and conserve cardstock. But it doesn't matter if they're, tilted
Gina,
into
quick
each other or
question
whatever.
from the chat.
Yes.
It looked like
Yes.
you left a small flower die on the magnet sheet. Do we not need
Oh,
that?
I did. I did. Oh, you're right. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I did. See, that's why I love the chat because they are so helpful. Okay, so I'll cut that one here and then we'll cut it just 2 more times when we're done. So I'm putting that one there to create my template. Heidi, did you miss that one or did you get it?
I've got it, but I just want to remind or tell everybody this, like right now, what we're doing is makes this class so much fun to assemble in the end, and to have all of these flowers to work at is sheer joy. So don't take a shortcut and say, oh, I only want to cut 1 pass of flowers. Do 3, man. You get them all done, because the payoff is going to be worth it.
And we are going to need 3 of most of these flowers, but it doesn't make sense not to throw the last die on there. If you're going to do them, you might as well stamp them and, have them in your stash ready to go. All right, so I did get that one this time. Thank you, whoever said that, keeping track of me. Ugh, somebody's got to keep track of me. Tom's not here today, so there's nobody keeping track of me.
We'll keep track of each other. Can I ask people while you're cutting, Gina, is it okay if I ask the ask the audience?
Yeah.
I would love to know how many people who are chatting with us live today, how many of you are crafting while we're crafting? I know you're going to need to pause to type on your computer to tell us that, but I am curious how many are watching versus how many are crafting along with us. It helps. I mean, it's really fascinating to know because I do like to watch the class and then go back and craft along with it because I like to hear the conversation and see all the tips and tricks and see how it's done. It's kind of like a sneak preview of what's to come. But I know the chat right now, at least on my screen, is a little bit delayed. But if you guys don't mind, those of you who are watching live right now, let us know. Are you watching or are you crafting? I guess maybe just that one word, crafting or watching.
Yeah, that's always interesting to know. So now I'm cutting the last batch. I did cut a little extra one while you were talking, Heidi. But I know, like for me, when I take a class, I'm a watcher. I like to watch one time through because sometimes I tend to want to jump ahead. And then, like Heidi said, then you miss the reason why you shouldn't have. So I like to watch first, but I know a lot of people like to craft along because it's just fun to do that too. And as long as you don't feel stressed out about it and you're just relaxing and having fun as you go, then by all means, we are excited to have you crafting along. All right, so I cut my last batch of flowers. Now, remember I said don't throw this away. So anybody who tossed that first one in the trash can, grab it out of the trash can because we're going to need it. And then I am taking all of my dies and putting them away so I don't lose them. Has anybody ever thrown a die away? I have done that. That's so frustrating. So now I'm trying to get better about at least putting my dies away after I finish my die cutting, as opposed to just leaving them on my desk and then scooping everything right in the trash when I'm done.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, believe it or not, that was, a huge amount of die cutting that we got out of the way. And then the stamping on these is going to be super fast. Now, while we have the die cutting machine out, we might as well cut our cover plates out. So remember, we saved and put away those 2 sheets. So we're going to cut those now. Now, cover plates are bigger dies, and they sometimes can be a little persnickety when it comes to getting a good cut. One little tip is, to get a better cut, turn your cardstock on an angle like that when you run it through the die cutting machine. Number one, it's going to run through more smoothly because it doesn't have this bar to jump over. A point goes through more smoothly than a bar. And then if you have the intracut, I would definitely turn the dial up a little bit to maybe the tight, like turn it to the right at -3, and that just kind of makes it a little bit tighter. If not, there's a possibility on whatever die cutting machine you're using that you might need a shim. But I would give it a try first, and you can always run it through a second time. Then the other trick is, you can see I have my cutting mat and I have this blade side down, but for some reason, and we don't know the reason, we need a scientist that understands, but if you turn it over and you cut it blade side up, you will always get a better cut. And I don't know why that is, but it works. So I'm going to cut this blade side up.
I feel like everybody needs an intercut. This is why I love the intercut, because you can make the pressure for something like this more intense or tight, I guess.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
One of the many reasons why I really do think everybody needs an intercut.
I love that feature that you can make it tighter. But for anybody who doesn't have the intracut, then by all means just add a shim, but also try flipping it over, because that does make a huge difference too. And now I'm going to poke this out here so you can see what that looks like. Isn't that fun? That's such a fun die. Isn't that pretty? I love that. That feels very kind of like climbing flowers. It would make such a pretty background just like this, white on white. It would be a gorgeous tone on tone background for any floral design you wanted to make. And then let me grab my pick and stick tool. You can save these little flowers too, and you can stencil on them later if you want. So I wouldn't throw those out because they will work with the stencil. So we'll just save those. And then I'm going to get rid of all the other parts.
I'm digging mine out of the trash. I'm like, why did I throw those flowers away? Literally bending over, digging them out of the trash. Sorry if you hear all the crinkling from my papers in my trash, guys.
Well, I think what a lot of people don't think about, especially with a die like this, is because all these pieces are stuck in there, you could actually put glue on the pieces and then lay them on a piece of cardstock and poke them out, and it'll make the reverse background. So you don't even have to throw these away if you have time to do that. And I actually demonstrated that in a video that I've done in the past. So if you ever need to see that technique, just ask in our Facebook group, or, you can always PM our customer service and they'll help you find it. All right, so now we're going to cut a second one. So this is blade side up. I'm not cutting into my mat, although I have, and it's okay. But I think everybody needs to christen their mat by cutting it the wrong way. I was reading this is not a cutting surface when I cut into it. So now we're going to cut that second one. All right. And I think for this one, because there were a couple little spots that I had to pull on a little bit, I just might reverse it and send it back through as a second cut.
Wait, it's fun to see how many people are crafting along with us, Gina.
It is. I know. Did you see all those people? That's awesome. And Mary, yes, it is 3 sets of flowers that we cut for today. 3 full sets. All right, so look at that. There we go. That cut a little better because I sent it backwards through the machine again. So there we go. And now we have those 2, and that's done. And again, I'm going to save some of these flowers for later. So I'm going to poke those out first. Heidi, don't throw them away this time.
I love having all of these flowers for the end.
I know, it's so fun. And then I'm just going to poke the rest of these out.
And Gina, who designed this cover plate?
Me.
I thought so.
I designed everything for you, Heidi. I just, when I was working on this kit, I was thinking, what is Heidi to me? And you're just blooming sunshine and flowers. So
Aw.
that was
I'll never forget when you
perfect.
sent me, when you were designing them, you sent me the screenshots, and I was in line. I don't know if people who are watching ever fly Southwest. I was scurrying I was at the airport to line up in the Southwest line so I could get a seat. And I saw this come from Gina, and I stopped in my tracks. I was like, whoa, look at these. The flowers are beautiful, and the cover plate is exceptional. So I was delighted when you showed me what you were designing for class. Absolutely thrilled.
I'm so glad. It is a fun set, that's for sure. Okay, so a little bit later, we're going to adhere these 2 together. And you can see there is a right way and a wrong way. We're going to adhere those together. But I'd like to get our flowers stamped first, because we are going to stamp all of these flowers in black. And we want to give them just a little chance to dry so we don't have any chance of smearing when we ink blend over them. Okay, so let me see now. Where are my 2 tall panels that I had left over? I don't know what I did with them.
Your colored panels?
Oh, no, my colored panel. Yeah, my colored panel. Here it is. Okay, I cut with those. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a colored piece of cardstock into whatever stamp platform you're using, and we want to make sure that it doesn't shift. So once it's in there, it's got to stay in there, and it's got to stay in position. Now, I believe, Heidi, are you using a sticky mat?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Heidi's using her stamp and stencil mat, which is great to use for this. However, sometimes a stencil mat can shift a little bit because it's not sticky on the bottom. So that's fine to use. Once you've stamped everything, then when we go to mass produce, just always make sure that that mat is back up in that right-hand corner. You can even tape it onto your stamping platform to make sure it doesn't move. Now, in my case, I'm using a grit mat. This is our one of our double background grit mats. A grit mat is sticky on both sides, so it's going to stick to the platform, and it's also going to stick to your cardstock. So use whatever you have, but those are the differences between what each of us is doing. All right, now it's time to stamp. Finally, hallelujah, we get to stamp and get inky. So we are going to stamp all of the flowers, but when we do this, we're going to stamp them spread out a little bit. So you can see the way I'm laying these out. I'm going to lay them out so that there's room. We've got this whole piece of cardstock, so don't be, nervous about really spreading them out. And we're going to use every flower and every leaf, and I won't forget the small one this time. There we go. Wow, they're sticky. They are good. Good, good. So I was shocked yesterday when Heidi and I were kind of talking about class and stuff, and I told Heidi, I am just like, these stamps, they stamped perfectly the first time. You're going to love this stamp set. If you haven't already broken into it, which kudos for the self-restraint, but you're going to just love how easily these stamp. Okay, so we're going to use our black ink cube for this, and we're going to pick up all of these stamps, and I'm going to stamp them all at once. So I'm going to ink up all of these. I'm going to stamp them all at once, and I don't care if they look great. Okay, so if they're not perfect or there's some little areas that look like it could be stamped again, I'm not going to worry about that. I just need all of these to be stamped onto this piece of colored cardstock. I hear you, Heidi. I hear you working.
Mine's not great, Gina. Should I
That's
do
okay.
another
That's
layer?
if you want to.
I'll do another.
If you
you said not great, so I like barely tapped my
Oh,
stamps. Because this
I
is
just
just
meant
like
that this is our template, but you do need to see the perimeter. So I would stamp it a second time if I were you. Now, yesterday when I was going through a little trial run here, I had a sweatshirt on and I used the sleeve to stamp over the whole thing. But today I just have my hands. But today I'm not dressed like a goblin. I told Heidi when we had our meeting yesterday, I said, do you mind if I look like a goblin? She said, no, I look like a goblin too. I'm like, that's my friend. That's my friend. Okay, let's see now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull this out of the trash if you threw it away. And we are going to we're going to make templates for these. Now, this technique is a technique that is truly one of my favorite ways to get perfectly centered die cut pieces every single time. And you'll find that maybe for a big stamp, this isn't as necessary, but when you're working with smaller stamps, like the little stamps from Lawn Fawn, or some of the little leaves and things like that, that are just really hard to die cut perfectly, this is going to be your saving grace. So I'm cutting these out. And remember, you only have to do this method once. You can keep all of these templates and reuse them. You'll only have to stamp this sheet and affix them next time. So we're kind of doing some prep work for the next time you use this set, but it's good to practice and it's good for us to do it together. So I am not cutting this in any kind of fancy way. I know most of us don't like fussy cutting, which is why we love dies. This really isn't fussy cutting. This is just cutting the little openings out and away from each other. Now, somebody asked me one time, why can't I just stamp through these and then I would have the template? And my answer is, if you can do that and you can get them dead center, then definitely do that. The reason why I use this technique is because I can never stamp in the center of anything. It's always off to the one side. And, you know, sometimes I know we always say don't worry about perfection, but sometimes you want your flowers and your leaves to be perfectly centered. And it can be a little distracting if they're kind of wonky.
And I feel like today it's worth it because we're going to be doing it so many times. We're not just stamping it once. We cut 3 of everything.
Right. So we're kind of mass producing. And this technique is great for, you know, when it gets to be close to the holidays and you guys are making your holiday cards and you're making 50 or 60 of them, rather than stamping and cutting every single greeting, you can do this once and then you can fly through the mass production of greetings and elements for your cards. So this is really a fun little technique. So I've been cutting off the screen, but I know Heidi's cutting right onto the screen, and you can see what she's doing. She's laying them on top, and she is perfectly centering that template right over each of those images. And once the templates are in place, then you just drop your blank pieces in and you can stamp them. Now I'm going to use some pixie tape. You can use washi tape if you want. You can use Masking Magic strips if you want. Masking Magic strips are great for this. But I'm just using some pixie tape because it's what's in front of me and it's easy to do. So once you have it lined up, then just tape it down. I do like to tape it down so that it's nice and stuck. I'll tell you what, I went home last night, Heidi, and I actually stamped about 6 passes worth of these flowers. I made so many last night. It was so much fun because I wanted to make a couple extra cards for everybody just to show you some additional ideas. And I have those to show a little bit later. So stay to the end and see the extra cards. Or if you're watching on rewatch and you've already watched, you already know what you're doing, just zip to the end and you can check out the extra cards that I made. It's just more ideas for you guys because more ideas, you can never get enough ideas, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is where I'm cracking out my glasses.
Good for you. I don't know if we ever told anybody the story of you and I shopping together, but Heidi swore that she did not need glasses. And she and I were in a store together, and every single time she wanted to look at something, she would hold it 5 miles away and squint. And I'm like, Heidi, I think you need readers. And she's like, I don't need readers. I don't need readers. I'm like, I think you need readers.
I'm too young for readers.
She was like, I'm too young. I don't need readers. I'm like, well, maybe it's because you wear contacts and the contacts are so strong. It's not your age. It's the contacts. I tried everything to convince her to get readers. Finally, I did like a sharp turn into the dollar store and I bought her like 10 pairs of readers. Because
Those
not
are
only
actually the ones I have in front of me now, Gina. I grabbed
that's
them on
perfect.
purpose.
That's perfect. And if you're like me and you lose your readers every day, go to the dollar store and get 10 pairs for $1 and just put them everywhere. I got them everywhere. I've got them in the bathroom.
Still the dollar store? I think here in Columbus it's now the $1.25 store.
Oh, well, you know what? I think I was telling Reed this the other day. We were talking about the dollar store, and I told him, I don't know if you guys have this store close to you, but does anybody have a store called Five Below? Five Below. We had a Five Below. Well, we have one, and I never went into Five Below because I had no idea. I thought it was a winter sports store. I thought it was like where you buy like a ski jacket or mittens and things like that. I had no idea that it was a dollar store. Basically, everything is $5 or below. And I went in there looking. You knew? You knew
thought it
that
was 5 degrees.
Yeah, 5 below. They got blue and white. Like, they set you up for failure. That's not your fault.
totally set me up for failure. And then I went all the way there because I needed a winter coat and I wanted to get a good one. And I walk in and it's a dollar store. I'm like, where are the winter coats? They're like, we don't sell winter coats. Do you need Ziploc bags? I'm like, oh, God. So that store set me up for failure. But now I know, now I know where to get some Ziploc bags, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know that it's a dollar store anymore. I think you got a bargain on those glasses, Heidi.
Yes.
Come on, Five Below. Everybody's like, yeah, Five Below. Doesn't it sound like a winter store? I live in Wisconsin. Five Below is not a rare thing in Wisconsin. Sounded like totally like we would have that.
Like the weather forecast that day.
Yeah. And you're right. Don't they use the little degrees sign?
I'm not sure off
they
the
do.
top of my head. I know that the branding is blue and white though, so it's definitely like cold
It
vibes.
feels chilly.
Yeah.
It's chilly. All right. Well, there's a story while we're working on our templates. Do you have a story, Heidi? I'm afraid to ask. I'm glad.
I want to encourage people that this time we're taking to do these templates is so worth it.
It is. And everybody will see when they actually start stamping. And also, I mean, I think a lot of people understand and probably have done this before and understand the value of these kinds of sets when you want to do mass production. I make so many of these kinds of things when I make them, and I actually store them in little chewing gum containers. I'm a big gum fan, and I store all my extras that I make in these little chewing gum containers. So make as many as you possibly can stomach making, and you'll thank yourself later when you need a fast card. All right, so I am almost done putting everything in place. And you can see, I mean, just the idea of the stress of trying to center every one of these, because remember, what we're taping now, we would be taping onto our die cutting machine to get it centered, but we'd be doing it 3 times over, one at a time. So this does make a difference. All right, so you're good, Heidi?
Yeah, but I didn't move my stamps off of my Misty, and that's right, Gina?
Oh yeah, don't move your stamps off your Misty. I'm
Okay.
sorry that I didn't say that. I hope that nobody moved their stamps off their Misty.
Well, I had actually almost started cleaning my stamps while you were finishing up, and I was like, wait.
Oh yeah, yeah. Leave the stamps on there, definitely. Okay, so now what we can do is we can put our little bits and pieces into these templates, and we can stamp them again. Now, I think Heidi, did you try to do all of them at once?
You know, I'm a rebel. I think it depends on the ink we're using. This ink works
Yes.
with,
Yeah.
I like to do it all at once, Gina.
Okay, so you go ahead and do it all at once. You know what? I'm going to do it all at once too. If you're using a pad like the one in the kit, which is the firm foam pad, the ink in this kit, the black ink dries just a hair slower than like the Gina K dye ink. So if you're using the Simon Says Stamp black ink cube here, then you probably are going to be able to do all of these all at once. If you're using the Gina K ink, because our ink dries so quickly, you're probably going to want to do just a couple at a time. It's not, one way doesn't speed you up and slow you down. It's about the same level of time that it takes. But you know, the reason why, that's the other reason why we're stamping first, is so we can let these dry a little bit, where if you're using a different ink, you might not have to wait. So it's, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, whatever way works best for you. So I'm going to ink up everything on here. The other reason why you might want to do smaller batches at a time is in case anything shifts. If one of these or 2 of these shift from just the wind of the stamping tool being, swung over, you could misstamp a little bit. But, Heidi's being a rebel, so I'm going to be a rebel too. Okay, I am going to gently turn this, and then here we go. Are you still inking, or are you on your second pass already?
Just finished inking.
Okay. Now some of these are going to stick to the stamps. Well, all of them did, which is fine. And then we're going to just gently pull these off. And you can see perfectly centered, beautifully stamped. Love this. Love this technique. Now that one isn't perfectly stamped. So I'm not going to stamp this one again, just because, again, I stamp them all at once, so I don't know how I'm taking them off, and if I put them back in, it may not be the right direction. But this tells me, for myself, I need to do smaller batches of them. But it'll still look really good. I'm not worried about it. And we are making extras. So there we go. We did all of those in one quick pass. Now we're going to do it again. But I'm going to do just like the top couple, and then I'm going to move on. And if you're new to this technique, then by all means, just try a couple at a time. Heidi, is this ink alcohol marker friendly?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't trust it with alcohol. That's a special formula. I think, is your amalgam that alcohol ink friendly?
It is, and our dye ink is also alcohol ink friendly, believe it or not.
Well, I mean, you could try it and see what happens, but I don't have consistent results.
Yeah, and so here's another quick tip. You can see that mine stayed in this time. They didn't stick. And if you're having trouble getting them out, you can't get your finger under there or whatever, take a little piece of washi tape or purple tape, pink tape, masking magic, whatever you have, just tap it on your sleeve a little bit just to make it a little less tacky. And then you can touch it to the image and pull it off. This way you're not trying to get it out with a tool, or you're not trying to get your finger under there and kind of mess everything up. So I'm just going to keep stamping and pulling them out until they're all done. And you guys do the same, and we will just keep answering questions or chatting about stamping, or I'll give you secrets about Heidi that she doesn't want anybody to know. Whatever works.
The funny story I was thinking about when you were talking about Five Below, which makes me think of temperature, is I remember being, I mean, this is a long time ago. This is back when trade shows, before COVID. And we were in a hotel room with, I think Kathy Rakusin probably. Well, I know Kathy because she's the one who was the culprit, but some other people. And it just started getting really hot in the room. And Kathy Rakusin is a practical joker. So if you know Kathy, you know she likes to prank. And it started just getting really hot in there, and she's giggling, and we're all talking 1,000 miles a minute because we're so excited to be in person, because usually we only see each other on the internet. And she's giggling, and we're finally like, man, it's just getting too hot in here. And we discovered that Kathy had changed the temperature of the thermostat as a prank for all of us. So we were in there sweating, and that's just what it made me think of when you were talking about Five Below as our prankster friend.
I remember that. I was in that room too, and that was the first moment that I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going through menopause. I had no idea. That's the first thing I thought is, oh my gosh, menopause just started like right this minute, and I can document it here. I am sweating. We've done some practical jokes to Heidi over the years. We actually, one time we were all together on a little trip, and I kept her occupied. I said, Heidi, I need to talk to you about some business ideas. And I kept her occupied. And our other friends went up to her hotel room. They stole her keys out of her purse. They went up to her hotel room, and they wrapped everything in plastic wrap. Everything, her toilet paper, everything, completely encased in plastic wrap. So I meant to apologize for that, Heidi. I'm sorry.
Well, the funniest part of that is that somebody, well, I guess it's been so long ago, Nina Marie was there too. And so she pulled me aside, and she said, I don't know what they're doing, Heidi, but they got your keys out of your purse and for my
Nina.
room. So I discreetly, when I told Gina I was going to the bathroom when she was done pulling me aside, and snuck up to my room. And I saw all of the saran wrap all over. I mean, they even saran wrapped my toilet. And it was like industrial strength saran wrap that they got from a commercial kitchen. So I unwrapped everything, acted like nothing had happened. And then later that night, when we were all walking to our rooms, everybody wanted to walk me to my room. Well, I know why everybody wanted to walk me to my room. They wanted to see me see the saran wrap that they didn't know I had already removed. So I say goodnight, and I give everybody a hug at my door. I was like, I'll see you later. And I go in my room, and I just stand there, and they all were standing outside my room waiting for me to freak out. But I didn't freak out. I was like, acted like nothing happened. And then Kathy knocks on my door after about a minute. She's like, just making sure everything's okay in there. And I didn't even saran wrap my pillow. But remember, I had unsaran wrapped everything secretly. So I open my door, and she looks in, and she's like, what happened? Like, she's thinking, I imagine, what happened to all the saran wrap? Well, then I think she thought she did the wrong room, and I just bust out laughing, and I'm like, got you! So thanks to Nina for saving the day, because when you pull the prank on the prankster, it's like really gratifying.
It really is. And I'll tell you, I was never so disappointed in my life to not hear a scream come out of that room. I was so bummed out.
I mean,
yes, that was very, very clever of you, Heidi. And Nina,
God
if I
bless her.
ever
You're
see you
next.
again, you're next.
Sleep with one eye open, Nina. They're gonna get
Yep.
revenge.
We're going to get you.
I lost a leaf, Gina. Now, I could crawl on my floor and look all over for it, but do you think it's okay that I'm short a leaf for this project?
You know, I think you're going to be just fine. I
Okay.
think that we can make it work. I wouldn't worry about it at all. No worries. If you lost a leaf, don't worry about it. But it's a really good reason to, if anybody else is crafting and they're using the rewatch, you can always just pause and make a whole other round of these. And this way, if anything falls on the ground, you will have extras. But no, it won't matter at all for this project. All right. Well, I have all of mine done. Do you have all of yours done, Heidi?
I
You're still
think.
working.
Let's see the reveal of this. Look how messy I am with the ink. Ay, ay, ay. Ta-da! Yes, I have mine
Oh,
done.
it looks good. It looks great. So I'm just going to clean my stamps. I'm using the Tidy Towel. And I'll tell you that once you clean your stamps, if you have any black ink left on your MISTI, you can always use just a little rubbing alcohol or stamp cleaner to get it off. But I am
Off
just
the
going to
MISTI,
clean
you
all
mean?
of the off the MISTI. Yeah, not on the well, you can use stamp cleaner on the stamps for sure. So I'm going to put my stamps away now because we're done stamping all of those flowers. And you know what? While we have the MISTI out, why didn't you die cut the colored paper you stamp? Oh, you know what? Sarah, that's a great idea. Sarah said, why don't you die cut this? And that would be really cool because I can't use this template again unless I leave the stamps attached to the MISTI forever. So you could take all these templates off, store them with your die set, and cut all these out for a whole fun other card so you're not wasting that extra cardstock. So kudos once again to the chat, to Sarah, for a great idea. I love that idea. And this blue is really pretty. I think it would make a really fun summer card. It's a great idea. All right, so I am a little inky, so I am going to clean my hands. And I hope we're just giving everybody a little chance to catch up.
Can I talk to Gina about your Tidy Towel? And so if you are a student for this class, which means you pre-purchased a kit, a fabulous kit, sold out, but you have a kit. If you're one of those people, we have your email. And Stephanie this week, I think yesterday even, emailed everybody who has a kit with a special coupon code. So we want to do something special for those who got a kit. We like to treat people and delight people. So that Tidy Towel that Gina was talking about was not included in the kit, but I think something like that is the perfect thing to pick up with the coupon that Stephanie has mailed the students in this class. Because when we do these Create Together classes, we want to spoil and delight our students, not just with a massive kit with lots of options and inspiration, but also with a little coupon for them to shop with.
Boy, that is so generous. I love that. And also, I just wanted to say, Marcy mentioned, and it's a good point. She said alcohol can take the lines off the MISTI, but not the newer MISTIs. Only if you have one of the very, very original MISTIs, and that would be the one with the pink lines. Since then, these are all etched into the MISTI, so it doesn't take it off. You can see my lines are just fine, and I just cleaned my door with alcohol. But that is a good point, Marcy, so I appreciate you mentioning that. So, wow, a special for everybody that bought the kit. That's great, Heidi. I think that that's so generous. Now, we have a little bit of cardstock left over, and I think it would be good for us to stamp our greetings now, and we'll get that out of the way, and we'll let those dry so that later when we die cut them, they'll be nice and dry. Now, for my cards, I chose Happy Birthday, I chose Hello Friend, and I chose Thank You. These are greetings that I use a lot, but you'll notice in the kit that you have extra greetings in here, like you are the best friend ever. I did use that on my second sample card that I'm going to show you. You're the best. So you can choose those if you want instead. It's totally up to you. Once again, these are your cards, so use something that you feel would be useful to you. I'm going to do hello, friend. I'm going to do happy birthday because I always need a birthday card. And I'm going to do thank you because I just like these giant greetings. But wow, we used up almost all of the cardstock, which is pretty cool. Sherry, don't worry if you can't keep up, because I know that it can go a little quickly. The good thing is that there's rewatch, and we're just glad that you're here and chatting in the comments, and we just love to read and hear what Reed tells us you're saying. We love it.
There is a quick question. Are you ready, Gina?
I am ready.
What is that clear stamp that you're using behind your in your Misty? Yes.
Oh, the clear stamp. So that is the Gina K Designs double background grip mat. So you might notice that grip mats are very popular right now. What we decided to do was, because a grip mat is just a slab of photopolymer, which is the same material that stamps are made out of. So we decided to test our theory that if we did an actual couple of background stamps on the opposite side, that it could serve double duty. So we have two different designs right now with more on the way. We have double background grip mat 1 and double background grip mat 2. And they've got patterns on the other side. So you can use it as a grip mat, just like you see me using it here. But then if you want, you can take it off of your Misty, and the other side has two really neat patterns that you can stamp as background stamps, and they're perfect sized for A2 cards. So that's what that is. And that's why it looks like it's got a pattern on it, because it absolutely does. So if you didn't get a coupon, sometimes my coupons go in my spam. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes my coupons go in my spam. But I'm sure that Simon Says Stamps customer service can always help, right?
Yep. Service at simonsaystamp.com if you didn't get a coupon, and they'll.
All right.
But that's only for the student. That was only for the people who got the kit.
Yeah, and they can look up to see if somebody got the kit. So if you got the kit, they'll be able to see your order. All right. So now I'm putting my greetings aside. I'm going to cut them out a little bit later. Oh, look at you. You did pretty colors. I love that, Heidi. See, I love the concept of this class because Heidi's kind of doing her own thing and she's stepping outside the box, which is what we love. I mean, we want people to feel like these are their own cards. All right, so now it's time to do a little bit of ink blending. I think that we let these dry long enough, and so I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so we can see everything a little bit closer. And I am going to use a sticky mat too. So I have the Gina K one. Heidi has the Simon one. You can use that, or if you don't have a sticky mat, you have a grip mat, you can use that. Now, if you're newer and you don't have anything, that's okay too. All you have to do is take your tape runner and put a tiny little bit of tape runner on the back of the design and just stick it down onto a scrap piece of cardstock. What we want to do is just secure these so we can make sure that, that they're not going to wiggle around while we're stenciling. So the first color that I want to use is Petunia, and that is that bright pink. Okay. And I'm going to do all of the Petunia flowers from my cards. So if you're following along with me and you want to make the same exact card that I made, then you're going to need 2 of this design. And you're going to need 1 of that tiny one. And that's all you're going to need for the color Petunia. Now, you can do whatever you want. Maybe you don't want to make rainbow cards. That's totally fine. Do it however you want. But just know you're going to need 3 flowers in Petunia if you want to follow along with me. Now, there are coloring stencils. And these coloring stencils coordinate with the different flowers and the different leaves. So I'm going to pick a brush here. I'm going to pick my yellow brush. And I want to show you a little trick. If you have a brush that is bigger, especially if it's bigger than this one, and you're trying to ink blend with ink cubes, sometimes if you just run your brush over the ink cube, you only get ink right in the center of the brush. So an easier way to ink up a blending brush, especially a big one, like, let me show you, here is one of our big ones, right? And I know Simon has these big ones too. You want to take your ink cube and you want to run it all over the brush like this. So you're not using the blending brush to rub on the ink cube. You're using the ink cube to rub over the blending brush. That will help you get more ink onto your brush. And I'm going to do that with this little brush too, just so that I can get a lot of ink on it quickly. Now you can also, because these brushes are small, you can also ink them up this way, just kind of turning them a little bit to make sure you get enough ink all over the bristles. But I just wanted to show you that tip because some of you are keeping your Simon brushes pristine for another project and you're grabbing brushes you already have in your collection, and that's fine. So you'll notice on the stencil that there is some etching that says Simon Says Stamp down here at the bottom. I think if I get it in the right light, you'll be able to see that. Let's see if I can. There it is. So you can see it says Simon Says Stamp. You want to make sure that you can read that so you've got the stencil in the right direction. And then these flowers are very symmetrical. So it's not going to matter that much, but you don't have to worry about like figuring out the orientation of the flower. They're all very symmetrical and they will all work very easily. And then I'm going to color this in with Petunia. I'm doing the wax on, wax off method. What that is you're going in one direction and then you're turning the brush and going in the other direction. And that kind of fills in the lines a little bit. Sometimes you'll get a white line just on one side of the petal if you don't, you know, kind of turn it in both directions. So I've done that one. Now I'm going to do the next one. Line it up. Wax on, wax off. All right. And then I'm going to do this tiny one, which is this one down here at the bottom. Same thing again. I'm inking up my ink cube. I should find my Pawsitively Everything tool. Get that in the action. Oh yeah, that works great.
Do you know why we call it the Pawsitively Everything tool?
No. No, I don't.
Because it'll hold your inks like I'm using mine for now, but it'll hold your coffee. It can be run under water to clean your brushes. You know, it provides the little friction. So when you put soap on here and run it over water, it'll get all the ink out of your brush. You can put your hot glue gun on it and it won't melt the surface because it's made out of silicone. You can put your glue bottle upside down, and if the glue drips out the bottom, you can just peel it right off. You can put your acrylic paint brushes on it and then peel off the paint when you're done.
It really does work for everything. It really does. It is Pawsitively Everything. Now for the centers of these flowers, we're going to use the one right next to it for the center of the big flowers. And for the small flower, we're going to use the one right next to it for the center of the small flower. If you want, you can branch out and make yours multicolor. That's fun too.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
I know. My bad. I should have set it up front. But because my cards are going to be all rainbow, I want to keep the color consistent, but you know, you definitely can mix and match. And there's also a center circle for this flower as well. So if you wanted to go back and add a third layer on here, maybe you did the center in yellow and then you want to make the center orange, you can use this hole down here for that right there. There's extra little cool design elements in this stamp set that we're not even exploring today because there's so many things you can do. All right. And then once these are done, I'm just going to bend my mat and I'm going to take these off. And these are going to be ready for cards. So you can see how much faster this whole process went. I'd still be die cutting the first round of cards, of flowers. I know I would. I'd still be die cutting if I didn't do the template method. And I'm using a little bit of alcohol just to clean my stencil. I like using alcohol because it dries very quickly, so I don't have to worry about it being wet. Do you see how the water or the alcohol pools under there? You definitely want to make sure that you dry both sides so that that doesn't wet your cardstock. But some people put alcohol in a mister bottle, little spray bottle, and that's fine. You can do that. If you are a little bit sensitive like I am, you can just use it right from the bottle on your paper towel. All right, so pink is done. This is good that we're doing all the same colors first because then we're not going to possibly use the wrong brush. Now the next color that I'm going to do is yellow, and I'm going to need 4 yellow flowers for this. I'm going to do this one. Are you doing multicolors, or are you already working ahead? You could tell the truth.
Some are multi, not all, but I do want to make my middles yellow.
Oh, that's cool.
I can tell the truth.
You don't have to lie. So I'm going to be using the color Marigold for this, and I'm going to need another blending brush here. So I'm going to use purple. And again, the blending brushes, the color of the handle doesn't matter as much as the color of the brush head. So always look at your brush head and you'll know what color is on there. To me, I think it's kind of cool if you have all the same color handles, because then you just look at the brush head. Because for sure, at some point, I might pick this up and color purple with it. That's just me. Okay, but if you have the right handle color, then you can make that match too. So either one is great. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to just pop this stencil right over, and I'm going to add that color. I'm going to deepen the color a little bit here toward the center just by adding a little bit more color in the center. Oh, I love these new colors. Are you excited about these new colors, Heidi?
I love these new colors, and yellow happens to be my absolute favorite. So this marigold that you've done is great. And what a privilege for Simon Says Stamp to have these before. Really, even you have them on your website, Gina. That was really generous of you to do that for the students who are taking the class today and even on rewatch. That's something special for all of us.
It is so fun to get new colors. New colors are so bright and fun. These are very, very good summer colors too. So I'm glad that we were able to, get these out for the class so people can use them for the summer. And what's included in that bundle you have pinned? Do you know?
Yeah, so Tara pinned the bundle at the top of the chat, and it is your 4 brand new ink cubes. It's the stencil that we're using, actually the set of 2 stencils that we're using right now. So if you didn't get one of Gina's kits before they sold out, you can still watch this class on rewatch and have the supplies that we're using. It also includes the stamp set, this bold Summer Blossom stamp set. The bundle also includes the dies that coordinate with that bold Summer Bloom stamp set. And it also includes the cover plate that we used earlier, that we cut twice. That's the bold Summer Blooms cover plate.
Wow.
So there's 2 sets of dies, a set of stamps, the 4 inks, the 2 stencils. And so that's a bundle for those. Before it sells out, we do have some that we set aside for live today. So anybody who was disappointed, who are watching live, we didn't want to disappoint anybody who's watching live, who was like, well, shoot, I want those products too. So we do have a limited supply of some of them.
That's really awesome that you guys saved a few too, because I know that there are some people that are tuning in that didn't even know there was a kit. They missed the memo. And so now they don't have to be disappointed. Plus, I mean, you know, being able to watch the class first and seeing how fun the products are, some people need to see that before they make the decision. So that's great that you guys did that. And I'm excited that we still have a few of the Incube sets left. That's very fun.
Do you think you'll
Okay.
do cardstock, Gina, that'll match these inks someday?
Yes, we have that in production right now. And when we launch these inks, we'll be launching ink cubes, full-size pads, and re-inkers along with the full cardstock line for these colors. So that's kind of fun. That'll be fun. And of course, you'll be able to buy all of those separately. So anybody who already has the ink cubes can pick up re-inkers for them and can also get the coordinating re-inkers.
I like having
So,
re-inkers.
so somebody was asking about pictures of the cards. I did send pictures of the cards over to Stephanie, and I'm sure that you guys are going to be posting them later somewhere if you
Yep.
haven't already.
So on our social media, which is Simon Says Stamp, people will be able to see the cards after class. And on our blog, simonsaysstampblog.com, we're going to repost this video with all the finished cards that Gina has sent pictures of. And then even tomorrow on our YouTube channel, we're gonna have 2 more videos. One is Kathy Zilski. I saw her here a little bit earlier. She got this kit and made some more cards with this kit. So people who have invested in this wonderful kit are gonna be loaded with ideas for how to use it. And then, so there'll be 2 videos tomorrow. One is by Kathy Zilski and another one is by Nicole Spohr. One video is going to go live on our YouTube channel tomorrow at noon or at midnight, and one video is going to go live at 8 a.m. So people who are in the mood this weekend to get out this kit and make lots and lots and lots of cards are going to have lots of inspiration to support all they're making.
That's amazing. And at the end of this video, I'm also going to show you 2 more cards that I made. So you are going to have a lot of inspiration.
You have 2
You're
more
gonna-
cards after this?
I do. I do. I have 2 more. I made them last night. I was just playing. I just couldn't stop playing. I couldn't put this down. This is just too much fun, and I had to keep making cards. And I thought, well, why not show everybody what I made?
That's what I
So
love.
I brought them with me.
You always go the extra mile, Gina. Your Stampin' Chats that you do, you are making cards constantly, showing us and inspiring us. Are your Stampin' Chats still on Tuesdays and Thursdays?
They are Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central and Thursdays at noon Central. So for these 3 flowers, I'm going to be doing the Sherbet color. This is the Simon Says Stamp Sherbet. I love this color, Heidi. I love this color. This is such a great orange.
Thank you.
It's
Nina and
beautiful.
Sherry had a lot to do with that color. Do you guys?
It's great.
I'm going to ask the students something, Gina, because
Yeah.
I'm going rogue, and I'm wondering. I see Jill Karen, so much fun on a Friday. Thank you, but I want to ask the students. I'm not doing exactly the same color scheme that Gina is. I wanted to, kind of go my own, whatever felt my vibes, but also give some other ideas to you guys for what things look like. But if it's confusing to you guys that I am coloring mine different, will you tell us that in the chat? Because I can try to get more on track, but also it'll be a good note for me, when I do more of these Create Together classes as a student. I really get a lot of personal enjoyment out of taking this class with Gina. Like this, for me personally, this is really fun, super fulfilling. But really, ultimately, I'm here to help you all. And if me going my own color scheme while Gina is, doing Sherbet and I'm doing the Cadet Blue, I don't want to confuse everybody and make it distracting. So I guess my question would be for you in the chat is, and even in the comments for those who are rewatching, is it okay with you that I'm coloring different colors that Gina is? Or is it so distracting you're like, man, Heidi, I want to turn off. I'm putting a piece of paper over the half of Heidi's screen because she's just making a mess over there. Gina
So
said
Heidi
she
wants
was okay.
no. Do we kick Heidi out
Yeah,
of the class
I guess that's the ultimate question. Yeah, kick
for
me
not
out.
following the rules? There are no rules. That's the thing. There are no rules. There's no hard and fast rules. We just want people to have fun. And I love what you said, and I love the way you said it. You said, I'm just feeling my vibes here. And that's exactly what I personally want everybody to do. There are people in the chat that maybe don't like the color orange and they don't want to have to put it on their card, and you shouldn't have to if you don't want to. So I don't think it's distracting, but looking at the comments, I don't think anybody thinks it is. I'm seeing mostly people saying not confusing at all. They're probably enjoying it because they get to see the other colors in action, which is always a fun thing. But
And
I'm
this
not speaking
cadet
for.
blue, Gina. Whoa.
You like that one? I know that color.
Oh,
That is a really interesting color. We don't have anything like that in our collection so far. So that is a really cool color. It's a smoky blue. It's like a gray blue, but oh, it's so pretty. It feels very nautical to me in a way, which I think is fun for summer. All right, so I'm cleaning the sherbet off of my stencil, and I've been using both stencils back and forth, which it's very easy to see what stencil goes with what flower. And the centers of those stencils are very close to the original flower part. So it should be easy for you to figure out which ones you should be making. Okay, and you know what? I said make 3 of this and 3 of that, but in reality, I was looking at an extra card that I made. So really, we have extra flowers that we can make one of my other cards with. We won't make it together, but when you see it, you're going to be able to make it right away. So that's kind of fun. All right, so now let's go to Cadet Blue, because Heidi got me all excited for Cadet Blue. So I'm going to use these 2 flowers for Cadet Blue because I only need 2 Cadet Blues. Okay, and it's just such a fun color. Yeah, see that? That is like, it's not like turquoise sea or tranquil teal. It is just its own animal. Love it. Cadet Blue, do I have a brush? Yes, I do have a brush ready to go. And I know a couple people, I've been kind of like watching the comments a little bit. And some people said, oh, you know, I'm still die cutting. And other people said, oh, I was die cutting, but I decided to stop and just watch. And other people, I'm sure there's people on there that are like, almost finished their cards already. So, you know, there's a little bit of everybody out there. But again, the nice thing is that these classes have a replay and they're available for everybody to watch. So maybe down the line, you know, you'll rewatch them again. And you can also try some of these with other products you have. So maybe you like the layout and you've already made these cards with the kit, but you've got some other flowers you want to try them with. You can do that too.
Uh-oh.
Lots of options.
I stuck my red brush in my purple cube, Teach. What do you
Okay,
think?
so all you have to do is take that purple, that brush, put a little bit of alcohol onto a paper towel and just rub the brush over the alcohol until all of that purple comes off. You don't have to wash the brush, and alcohol evaporates very quickly, so you can get right back to it.
Great
So don't
tip.
worry, it happens to the best of us. All right. Oh, the Cadet Blue. That's, to me, that's worth the price of admission right there, that color.
I'm going to revisit the Cadet Blue in the middle of one of my flowers. I like him so much.
I like it too. I think it's a great background color too.
I keep mixing up my brushes. So just to note, cadet blue and apple, when combined, make a very special purple.
Brown. Oh, they too. Well, you know what? You have an extra color in there. You have a lot of extra flowers too, Heidi. So don't be afraid to just grab a second flower and maybe save that one for something else. All right. So, isn't it great though? I mean, I think part of the fun of teaching classes live is that anything can happen, and it will. And that's what's like so great is you can see how a teacher recovers or doesn't recover and just does something different. Totally fine. All right, I'm going to move to green now, and I might be missing a flower, so I can change it up. I'm going to be doing this one in green. I'm going to be doing this one in green, and I'm going to need a little green. So I just need red, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, pink. Wait, do I need more flowers? I don't know if I need more flowers or not. I need that for purple. I need that for red. I need that for red. I need another small one for purple. Well, it's all right. We'll just change it up a little bit. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is this one is going to be for my red card. Oh, I don't need this one. I'm just going to do this and this for red. There we go. I have enough now. Okay. So that's this one here. Go ahead.
Of green, it makes me think about what you're growing. I saw on social media, Gina, you posted this beautiful raised bed flower boxes. And I am dying to know who assembled such amazing gardening and plant boxes in your backyard. That looked like a lot of work.
That was Tom. Tom is the hero there. I ordered those on Wayfair. So for years, my kids have been giving me Wayfair gift cards, and I never used them. Like I always forgot that I had them, and then I typed in garden boxes to get like plans to make a garden box, and Wayfair came up. And I saw this Wayfair garden box, and I just said, Tom, I'm going to order this garden box. Would you be willing to put it together? And he said, yes, as long as I can eat the food that comes out of it. So that's the deal. He built the box. I grow the food. He gets to eat. Works out really well. Yeah. And my kids are happy because finally, after all these years, they can see what Mom did with the Wayfair gift cards.
What are you growing?
I'm growing everything. I'm growing tomatoes, peppers, beans, cantaloupes, San Marzano tomatoes, herbs, basil, oregano, turnips, parsnips, carrots. I'm just Farmer Brown over here. I'm growing everything. I don't know what's gonna work, but
are San Marzanos the ones? I have a little cherry tomato raised bed myself. All that's in it though is cherry tomatoes, and I noticed my cherry tomatoes this year taste different than last year. Is that because what you said, San Marzano, like there's different varieties of tomatoes?
San Marzano tomatoes, they look similar to Roma tomatoes. They're very long and they're kind of thin, they're different than like a round pudgy tomato. And they're really made for sauce. That's what they're made for. They're saucing tomatoes. They're normally only grown in the San Marzano part of Italy because the soil there is very volcanic. But I had heard that if you mix some ash into your soil, you can get better San Marzanos. So I'm trying. I'm doing my best. And so we'll see, we'll see what happens. But they are definitely tomatoes that are made for sauce.
Where'd you get the ash from?
I haven't done that part yet. I'm thinking we'll just do a bonfire one night. It's
There
not
you go.
volcanic ash, but we'll just do a bonfire one night and I'll just add a little bit to my garden. Watch me kill everything, thinking I know what I'm doing. All right, so now we're going to move to violet and we're going to do these two flowers in violet. All right.
I should stop distracting the teacher.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fun. It's like we're all crafting together and we're friends here. So we got to share our stuff, right? Got to share
Yeah,
what
I
we're
got
doing.
lucky with I just have 2 boxes, and I just got lucky because my nephew is doing this thing on the side, was doing it in the spring. I don't know if he's still doing it, where he was building. He's an engineer. He can build stuff. And he built
Wow.
these raised beds, and I saw he posted one on social media. And so I'm like, hey, can I buy 2 of those? And so I guess that's a thing when it's your family. He's like, sure. And when he came over for Easter, he delivered it in his pickup truck. So not only did he hand make them, but then he delivered them for me. Now I did go and get the dirt myself, but there's a lot of choices. I mean, I can imagine card makers. I go into a nursery where there's all the selections of soil and tomato varieties and fertilizer varieties, and I'm a little overwhelmed. Like, what do I get? So it's a lot of trial and error. And I think that's how we're crafting too. Like you trial and error. Like you see what you like and you try one color, and if you don't like it, you try something different next time. Like I wish I could remember what my variety of cherry tomatoes were last year because they were so delicious. My mouth is watering thinking of them. But I guess that's when some people I see crafters take notes, put them in the little packet of stamps, that works with this die, or they store their dies together with it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is, that when I look at crafters that are brand new and I see them say, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know what to get. That's how I feel when I go into a garden store. I'm like, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know what to get. I just grab a few things and hope that it works,
Yep.
But hopefully, just like, there's channels on YouTube that talk about gardening. Hopefully our channel here and these kinds of classes are helping our beginner card makers just try some new things. All right. So I've got my purple ones done. And again, it doesn't matter which flowers you use and what order you use them in. You just need some of each color. So that'll work out just fine if you have some of each color.
I wish I would have cut more in the beginning because I could color all day.
I know, it's fun. It's addicting and it's fun. And I mean, just to see them all like coming to life here, it's so pretty. So I think I'm down to one last color, right? I need to do red, orange, yellow. I just need to do my green. Oh, and we have a brand new green to Gina K Designs. This Kelly green, this is like a primary green. It is like the perfect green. It does look like Simon's brush here that they sent me. But this is one of those greens that we didn't have. All of our greens are either very much on the lime side or very much on the olive side. And this is just that pure primary green, so bright and fun. The red was apple red. This is Simon Says Stamps Apple, Positively Saturated ink. And then I'm going to do these last 2 in green. There we go. And I'm not worried about not having enough green because we have all the greenery to do. So I saved my green for last so we can just keep the green open and keep going. But I want to have some green flowers just because I have that rainbow card that we're going to do. So I wanted a little bit of green in there for that. All right. So how are you making out over there, Heidi?
Well, I've got one more flower that I'm trying to match up my stencil for because I want to make him green. And I'm trying to unbury my stencil. There it is. I was trying to unbury my stencil. I'm doing good. I love this part is really fun to me. The like lightning in a bottle of card making is when we get to put it all together. Oh,
Yeah, I know. And that's just coming up in just a few minutes. We're going to put all our cards together. So that's going to be super fun because everything is cut and we're just going to get gluey. Love it. Love it. We are going to do a little bit of stenciling though on that cover plate. And I have a cool little tip for that coming up, and that's going to go super fast. In fact, as long as you've inked up every one of your blending brushes, you don't even have to keep your inks open for that technique. So just keep your inky blending brushes close by and we'll whip through that in record time. So I've got all my stencils cleaned and off to the side here. And now I'm going to do all my leaves. Now, if there's one thing that anybody who watches me knows is that sometimes my videos go a little long when I'm like on a roll and I'm really showing a lot of stuff. And that's very likely to happen today. We might go a little long, but that's okay. If anybody has to leave, there's the rewatch. And if you can stay, we want you to stay for the whole thing because I want to show you my cards at the end.
So I know Gina's doing leaves, but sorry, I kind of did my leaves already, Gina.
No, that's
I'm pulling out those little flowers that were left over from the cover plate. And I don't like how I did some of my middles. So since we have a minute, I might even color these in yellow and hide my ugliness in the middle. That's what happens when you go rogue. Sometimes you don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, and you can just color them. Just color them straight away. And then you can add any of those little centers from the stencil. The little stars, the little kind of stamen that would go in the center. And you can add your own centers. So that'll be fun.
Dia, have you ever thought about doing this as like a career?
No, never.
So many good ideas, Gina.
You know, I love doing videos and I love teaching, and it's definitely a passion of mine, but it's also really fun to take a class. I always have so much fun when I get to take a class too and watch a class. And I've been watching all of your Create Together classes, and they are so fun. The one with Callie, Nina, Sherry. I mean, these have been great classes. And guys, Tim Holtz, I mean, come on. What'd you have to do to get that?
Well, it's nice of you to mention it because we do have, Tim's just launched over the last weekend. So we do have a limited number of kits for Tim's class. It's a Christmas and July themed class.
Yeah, well, get yours. Get yours because I got mine. That is amazing. That's amazing. Tim, I mean, Tim's style is so fun, and his style of teaching is so great. He's just so relaxed and chill, and you just learn something every time you watch that man.
I agree.
Yeah, and we love Tim.
I feel lucky to be in this industry. You're always such a positive influence on all of us.
Oh.
And look at the flower idea. Thank you.
Oh, they're so cute, Heidi.
Stencil
They're
middle.
adorable. They're adorable. And you see how fast these leaves are coming together? And I'm just going a little heavy-handed toward the bottom of the leaves and just kind of fading out a little bit as I go to the top, just creating a little shading, right? A little darker down here. And then I'm just lightening the touch a little bit as it goes up to the top. And that just gives that fade, which is so fun. Yeah, these classes are great. You know what I think is the most important thing for all of the crafters that are watching? This is the most important advice that I can give any of you. Use your stuff. Have fun and use your stuff. Because even if you don't have a project in mind, just cut flowers and just ink blend them. It's so mentally, for me, it's so therapeutic. I don't have to have a project in mind. I don't have to, you know, have somebody that needs a car. I just love to just do this, just get inky. It's meditative, it's therapeutic for us, and it just feels good to break into your stash and use your stuff. So that's my best advice. What's your best advice, Heidi?
To not work ahead, because I'm seeing this technique that you're doing with the blending of the green on your leaves, heavier to lighter, and I wished I would have not worked ahead so I could have made mine cool like that too. So that'll be my next round. So those of you who are watching before you're crafting, there's a good tip. Now you've seen ahead of time.
And the good thing is that if you have all these supplies, you can make a million of them, and you can try it different ways. You can even tip each of the leaves with a little bit of that yellow, and that'll just make them glow. I'll show you what that would look like. I just have to show you on a couple. All right. So we'll get a little yellow here on the brush, and we'll just do like these right here. So we'll just add, now we'll do them down here on these. So we'll just add a tiny little bit of yellow to the top. Look at the way that glows. Just a tiny bit of yellow in there.
Oh.
And it just makes them glow.
Oh.
Isn't that fun?
Yes. I wish people could see our faces to see how much fun we're having. My eyes are probably a little squinted with my glasses on, but man, oh man, this is delightful, Gina.
I'm going to bring that up close to the camera so you can see the little glow in that too. I know it's kind of far away, but I want to show you that little bit of glow in there. So check this out. Can you see that?
Oh yeah.
This creates a little bit of a glowiness to it. So, and then, you know, go outside of the box. Try making one with cadet blue and green together. Try adding in some of the colors you have in your collection by adding a little bit of bright teal to the tips of the leaves. You can do so many fun things by blending colors together, and it does create more interest in your die cut pieces, even though they're not layering pieces. All right, so I'm going to push all of those aside for a minute here, and I am going to clean up my stencil while everybody's getting caught up who's working with us. And then we're going to start gluing together that, that cover plate so that we can make our little cover plate design. Okay, I think my stencils are nice and clean and ready for stenciling in the cover plate. So, how's everybody doing? I'm just gonna just peek at the comments here. Looks like everybody's doing pretty good.
I think they're throwing suggestions for color blend. I saw a sherbet, and I'm not sure, was that because they're blending it?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, sherbet with the apple would be amazing. A little bit of pink on the ends of violet would be amazing. I mean, so many ways that you can, you know, mix and match color together. Definitely. Just pick colors that are close to each other on the color wheel, and they'll be beautiful. All right. So I am going to get the Connect glue here, and I'm going to glue these two panels together. Now I want to show you, I really love using the Gina K Designs fine tip bottles because it's got that tiny little pin head at the top that can allow you to get the tiniest little dots. But if you don't have those bottles, this is another little tip for really fast gluing if you don't mind getting inky or gluey, like getting your fingers gluey. You can wash your hands, so it's not a big deal. But what I like to do is I like to squirt some Connect glue like that onto some scrap paper, and then I like to just tap my finger in it and just tap all over the back of the die cut. This works really quickly, and as long as you don't move the die cut around, It shouldn't get onto the front of the die cut, but it does really help to speed up the process. Now you might get a little on the front, and that's okay. I have a couple pieces of scrap paper here that I use for gluing, so, you know, I can like move that and get a little bit more to work with here. But this does speed up the process of getting glue on the back of these big cover plates, especially when they're more intricate. Yep, and people are saying you can use a sponge dauber. You definitely can use a sponge dauber. The thing about using a sponge dauber, though, is that it'll dry pretty hard on your sponge dauber. So if you're going to do that, just make sure you wash the dauber right away. I made that mistake and did not wash my dauber, and it was ruined. So you can wash it right away, and then that will take care of that. But yeah, you can definitely use a sponge dauber, and that would be very quick too. And then you're not as messy as I am, because I'm pretty messy right now. But I'm going to adhere 2 of these together. Now, this is an unnecessary step for making this card. If you don't want to glue 2 together, you don't have to. You can just use 1 if it's easier for you. And I always say whenever I teach a class that these are practice cards. So if your card doesn't turn out perfect, or if some of your die cut pieces aren't the colors you want them to be, or if you can't line this up properly, like I didn't line mine up all that great, it's really okay. These are your practice cards, and, you know, this is just so that you can do the trial run. You have the tools. You have everything that you need to make them again. So don't worry if, you know, it doesn't work out perfectly the first time. It's just an opportunity to play and give it a try. So although I didn't line mine up perfectly, it's still going to work. Gloria, I think the link is actually pinned here on YouTube if you're looking for the link to buy the bundle. Okay.
That is correct. It is pinned to the top of the chat.
All right, so now we're going to start to assemble cards, and we're going to do this first one by getting one of those small panels of the 3 panels we did, and 1 black panel. So we're going to layer these 2. Actually, why don't we do this first? Why don't we layer this cover plate onto the white panel first? So we're going to layer those 2 together. So Heidi, you should have one of the smaller pieces already cut. Heidi?
Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Good call out.
Okay. So I'm going to do one more little pass of glue, but this time I'm just going to use it right from the glue bottle because I already cleaned my hands. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue here. And I'm just going to do some skinny lines going around the perimeter. And you don't have to do every single part of this. Just try to, like, you know, get enough of it that it's going to hold it down. Heidi was talking about the glue, and she said she likes it because it's really sticky. It is very sticky. Very
I know
sticky
that
glue.
sounds weird, but not all glues are so sticky. But you want it to be sticky for this kind of thing. You know, for some, you know, for some techniques in mixed media, you might want a more liquefied glue or a thinner, but this is great for paper crafting. It was your glue, Gina, at Simon Says Stamp in 2023 and 2024 was our top selling product of all the 40,000 products we sell at Simon Says Stamp. It was your glue. That was number 1. Everybody wants it. Everybody wants to have a spare, couple spares. I think we might sell them in a 4-pack and a 5-pack even because people love them so much. So,
well, I got to tell you, I noticed. I think I noticed. Do you have like one of them on sale, or did you have one of them on sale?
We have your really big 6-ounce bottle one on sale. Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great deal. So check that out because, you know, you can get that big bottle and then you can fill the fine tip bottles from that over and over and over again. And you have that at a great price. So, yeah. So thanks for doing that. And thanks for carrying our glue. And what an honor it is to be one of the best-selling products at Simon Says Stamp. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Aw.
Quite
That
an
14,
honor.
or that 14, that 6-ounce glue is at, I had them on my computer on the side. The good thing I wiped my hands on my pants where to get all the glue off. I just typed in the glue. It's $14.99. I couldn't remember what price it was on sale for. It's $14.99 for 6 ounces of I think that's a newer size for you, isn't it, Gina? That 6 ounce?
It's a brand new size and you've got it at 25% off. So that is awesome. That's a great deal. That's a great deal. Not trying to say anything, but that's a great deal. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to a tape runner to assemble my card just because I'm more comfortable with that and you might have a tape runner that you're more comfortable with. But the one thing about our glue, and I think Heidi was using glue to assemble stuff together, is you don't get warping with Connect glue, which is really nice. And you don't need a ton of it. So I'm going to layer these two panels together. And now I'm going to do some ink blending. Now, the one thing that's important to know about ink blending on this part is you do not want to re-ink your brushes for this. You want your brushes a little more dry because we're going to make wispy flowers. And if your brushes are too wet, they're going to actually get ink on the front of this cover plate. Now, if you want much bolder, brighter flowers, what you can do is you can lay one layer down, do your ink blending in much bolder colors, and don't worry if it gets onto the cover plate. And then after you're done, glue that second cover plate one at the end, kind of like a finishing panel. But because we've got this all assembled, we're going to use a very, very light touch with blending brushes that are already inked up. Okay, so I'm going to make a rainbow going down the front of this card. So I'm going to do red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink. And it doesn't matter where you want your red to start. If you want it coming in from this side, have the flower on this corner. If you want it coming in from this side, flip it over and have the flower coming from this corner. I'll do it this way because I did my other one the other way, and this way you can see what both of them ended up looking like. But the only design you need is this little flower right here. This is at the bottom of the stencil. And I'm going to start with my red brush that has red ink on it. And I'm just going to pop that over there. It's very easy to see through. And we're not going to try to get every part of this. We're just going to do a little light stenciling like that. See how it just like puts a little bit of color in there. So I can zoom in even a little bit more. I always worry about being zoomed in too close because I know some of you watch on like a 72-inch television, and my skincare routine is not good enough for a 72-inch television. So I try not to be too zoomed in. But just that little dusty bit of color on there. And then I have my alcohol paper towel close by. I'm just going to clean it before I move to my next color. Make sure you pat it dry a little bit so no alcohol seeps through. Okay. And now my next color is going to be Sherbet. And again, I'm not re-inking the brush. I'm just holding this down and using whatever's left on the brush, just that little wispy bit of color. So I'm going in rainbow order. If you don't want to do a rainbow, you can do whatever you want. You can do it all over the place. You can also strategically just do certain flowers to create a diamond shape or to create more like an S pattern. these are your cards, so you can do them your way with whatever colors make you happy.
I'm sorry, you
So-
said use your brush without re-inking it, and that'll give us enough ink, you think? Okay.
I
I'm
think
sorry.
so, yeah.
I was
No.
busy retrimming my black cardstock that I cut wrong, so
Oh.
I caught up.
I thought you were going to say I was busy re-inking my blending brushes.
Well, that
So.
too. Because I think I might make all of, I love this cadet blue so much. I feel like, I know you're doing the rainbow. I feel like I want to do all of mine cadet blue.
Why not? I mean, that would be beautiful too. That's the thing, is this can be a soft background, or it can be your focal image. And, you know, depending on who you're making this card for, if like my daughter Rena, her favorite two colors are pink and yellow. Everything in her life is pink and yellow. And so if I was going to make her this card, I'd just alternate pink and yellow, because I would know, you know, I'm making a card for who I'm sending it to. So yeah, definitely do them your way. But I'm just going in rainbow order because that's what I decided on my sample. And of course, I wanted everybody to have an opportunity to at least see all of these beautiful colors working together. And I love, 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 Heidi, how generous you were with the amount of ink colors that you put in this kit. I mean, really, to get 8 different inks in a kit, it's pretty unheard of. So that's pretty amazing.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, but I'm a crafter too. So if I had to
Yeah,
choose
you know.
between 4 or 8 or 7 or 8 or 2 or 8, I'm always going to pick that bigger number.
You're going to go 8, right?
Yeah, my brother is the numbers guy in the business. So if I break the budget, he's going to have to be the one to reprimand me. But I'm like, the more we can put into this kit, the better.
Well, we won't make
He's
sure
not
we
here.
block. We're going to block Kevin from this video so he doesn't get to see it. Oh, well, we're so glad that you get to make those decisions, Heidi. All right, so I've got red, orange, yellow, green, blue. Now I'm going to go to the violet. That's this one, but I'm not re-inking. I love how cute and wispy this is.
Because I'm using my blue over and over again, I'm re-inking, but I certainly don't want to discount how your technique is to not re-ink in between, because I did try to do different colors. I used different colors on the card I actually made in prepping for class, and your tip is a great tip about just using the ink that's on your brush. See, I did make a different card yesterday following her tips.
Well, and the thing is that, I mean, everybody can re-ink if you want to. Just put this top panel, you know how we glued those 2 cover plates together. Just glue the top one on afterwards. This way, if the ink does seep through in any way, you're not going to see it. So that's the only reason for that tip. Otherwise, you can definitely re-ink. And there are other blending brushes that might be more suitable to that. I think, Heidi, you have some really tiny ones in your collection. So, you know, those could work. Also, the Gina K Designs, the really small ones that are kind of straight up and down and flat on the top, they could work. And you might be able to get a little more ink in there because they're a little bit more pinpoint designed. But again, you know, with all these great blending brushes that you got in this kit, it's kind of fun to have a technique that works with all of them. All right, well, mine is done. And so for this card, there's only 2 things left that we have to do, and that is put it onto a card base and add the greeting, which we're going to do at the end because we don't have our greetings pre-cut. So I am going to add mine onto my card base now.
Are you doing the card base that is the top fold, Gina? For this
Yes,
one?
this one is the top fold,
Okay.
because the one that's the side fold, we're actually going to make a horizontal card base on. So we're gonna turn the look of that one. All right. Yeah, I mean, I love what you're doing, Heidi, and I think that it's great to be able to see different ways to do it. And I don't think anybody in the chat um, is getting confused. They're just getting extra inspiration. So, oh, that looks so pretty. Oh, Heidi, I love that. Yeah, you can't get enough cadet blue, really. That rocks. I love it.
Thank
So
you.
pretty.
Yours is gorgeous too. I love the rainbow, whole rainbow series of these ink cubes is represented beautifully in your card.
So much fun. Yeah, both ideas work. All right, so now that you've got your card at that point and I've got mine at that point, shall we make a little rainbow across the center of a card?
Heck yeah.
All right, so here's what you want to have. You want to have your card that was a side fold card. And I'll back out just a little bit more here because I am a little close. And then we want to have one of those little panels, those little white panels, and a black panel. And, oh, did I cut mine wrong? I think I might have missed on this one. So, problem solved. I'll just grab the other one. Okay. I think I cut one wrong too, Heidi. What is with us? We each cut one wrong.
I think we're talking while we're doing it.
I know we're getting too excited here. So I'm going to layer these two panels together. It's okay. It's all right. It's okay to have a mistake. The good thing is that there's a whole extra sheet of black cardstock that we didn't even use. So you have plenty of black cardstock if you were following along with both me and Heidi and you cut one panel wrong. That's the one to cut wrong. All right, and that is going to go into the center of the card. And again, if you have the Master Layouts series, if you have Master Layouts 2, you could cut this white and black panel with that, and then you would also get that little stitched edge. So that's another option, which I'm going to show you in my sample card, my extra card that I made. I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to find a pink flower. Start with pink. Then we need a red flower. So let me see, do I have another red here somewhere? I do. A red. I need an orange flower. Here's an orange. I need a yellow. I need a green. I need a blue. And I need a purple. I think I'll use this big purple. That is going to be my card layout right there. So the one thing I didn't show them, Heidi, that was in the kit and we both forgot was the foam squares.
Oh yeah.
They got that whole sheet of foam squares. Now I have to be honest about the foam squares, okay? I loved Heidi's foam squares that she put in my kit and I used them all. So I don't have the sheet of foam squares anymore, Heidi, because I use them all. So I'm going to be using some of these foam squares, but whatever foam squares you have in your collection you can use. That's not going to make a difference. You just want to use foam squares to pop up your flowers here. So I'm going to just kind of go across my card here and I'm going to overlap as I go. So I can move these out of the way and I'm going to put two foam squares on the back of this one. Oh, Heidi, I love what you're doing. I love that. So cool. Now, one thing I did want to make sure, and I do want to point this out, is when you're creating this design, just make sure that whatever greeting you're planning to use, like I'm going to use this happy birthday greeting down here, that you don't go too far down into it where you can't add your greeting. So just check that before you start gluing everything down. All right. So again, I think I'm going to, you know what I might do? I might work backwards. I think I'm going to put my purple one down next because this is going to help me a little bit with my spacing. I agree, Barbara. I love her yellow flowers. They are so pretty.
You guys are
Okay.
so nice. Thank you.
That's
So
fun.
I actually layered some of my flowers too, Gina. Like that, the middle of the cover plate, I didn't like how I stenciled. I messed up my stenciling a little bit. So I just used a foam square and layered a flower on a flower.
That's a great idea. Well, you know, I messed up here. See how I got orange onto the flower? I can tuck that under there and hide it. So if you have any mess ups, this is a great place to kind of fix your mess ups. So I'm going to sneak that right under there like that. Yeah, I love that. And you can make them up as high or as low as you want. They don't have to all be, you know, completely in the same orientation. I just love that kind of bright, cheerful cascade across the center. And sometimes just laying them out so you can kind of see where they are helps you position them a little bit. There we go. I love this.
This is fun to do.
It is. It's fun. It's like this is my flower gardening. This is how I like to flower garden. I'm just actually floral arrangement. This is my hobby. This is the way I do floral arrangements, not with real flowers, with paper flowers. All right. So I'm going to stop there because all I have to do is add my greeting onto this. And I'm going to start my next one, but I did cut one of my black panels wrong. So I am going to quickly cut another black panel here. I think I cut my black panel wrong. Watch it be the white panel that I cut wrong. But then I'll have an extra black panel, so it won't matter. So that's 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. And we'll see if that works better. Yes. Heidi, you and I did the same exact thing. We cut our... We need to learn to not have quite so much fun when we're crafting. We got to stay focused and on task. It's never going to happen, right?
I love, Gina came to visit a few months ago, and we discovered some places. I live near this cute town called Westerville, Ohio, which is right outside of Columbus. So all you Buckeyes in the chat, make sure you give us a big red heart. But Gina came to town, and I know she loves earth, minerals and crystals and things like that. And can you believe there's like 4 crystal stores in Westerville, and I never knew about any of them. And so when Gina came, we had so much fun going to those crystal stores together. And my son really likes that kind of stuff too. So, and coins, collectible kind of, I don't know, what do you call them? Just like earth metals. And,
yes.
So we do have fun, whether we're crafting or whatever else. It's good to have a friend in life,
You
glued and I'm talking, so let me get that down.
All right, so I glued my last 2 or taped my last 2 panels together. I've got a bunch of extra flowers here, so I'm not going to use them all, but I'm going to do kind of like a rainbow, definitely a very colorful circular pattern that's going to be a little bit more oval, I think. And you can start, if you want to do this, you can start your rainbow anywhere you want. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to adhere this to my card base first, because I like to extend my flowers outside of my panel onto the card base. The only thing that you want to make sure is that you don't extend past the card base itself, because you want this to be able to fit into an envelope.
So I did
So
that here,
now,
Gina. Sorry, pardon the interruption. So
I love that.
I extended it there, so it's not going to fit in my envelope.
You don't look like you extended it too far to fit in your envelope, though. And you know, really, you could pull that right back off and move it, because you're not going to see where you pulled it off because the flower will cover it. So don't worry, just go ahead and pop it off and move it. Okay, so I'm going to use this here, and I'm going to do the big bright yellow one right at the top. So this is part of the fun for me. I love doing the flower arranging. Now I have just one small green one here because I really don't need a ton of green. But if I need to fill in, I've got 2 pinks, so I can always add a little bit of pink at the end. So we'll see how this goes. Let's see, after the blue, I could just add another little pink one right in here, like that. So do I have all my colors? I do. And again, I'm doing a rainbow, but if you don't have enough to make a rainbow, just scatter them. Make them all different, you know, they don't have to be in rainbow order. You can just make a bunch of different things. We could pop, you know, an orange one here and a yellow one over here and just make it really bright and fun. It doesn't need to be a rainbow. But I happen to have enough to make a rainbow, so I might actually spread this out over here. Since I had an extra yellow one, and I think some of you do too, we could move this over here and we could pop a second yellow one in here. And then we're going to fill it in with all the leaves, but first we're going to pop all the flowers on. And yours can be circular like this, or it can be a little bit more horizontal if you, I mean, a little bit more oval if you want it to be. Okay, so I'm going to use foam squares to pop all of these up. And I think I'm just going to put one foam square in the middle of each flower. This way I can tuck greenery under there with no problem. All right. So how's everybody doing? Oh, okay. I see what you're doing here.
Did you already glue your black to your white bases?
I did.
Okay, I'm going to do that real quick. Sorry.
Yeah, I feel like that helps when you want to do a little bit of overlapping off the edge to be able to see how far it's going.
Yeah, that would help. Or if the students are probably all laughing. Catch up, Heidi.
You're doing fine.
Yeah, I think you're doing just great. And everybody's loving that red, white, and blue look that you've got going there too. And it would be really fun. You could make a patriotic card in red, white, and blue with flowers. So maybe you don't have flag stamps or you don't have any patriotic stamps, but you can make a patriotic themed card using flowers just by making them red, white, and blue. Why not? Anything goes with crafting.
That's the truth.
Okay. Now, if you get to the end and you feel like you want to overlap this flower a little more, I'm just going to wiggle it off. I'm not going to worry about it, and I'm just going to move it down just a little bit. You can move them around, especially if you've only used one foam square. You definitely can move them around with no problem at all. All right, so I have my rainbow of flowers there. If you want to copy my design, you can, or you can do any design you want. Now, here's the fun part to me, is being able to tuck greenery underneath. And I'm going to definitely put a big piece of greenery there to kind of fill in a little more green on my green spot. And I can use smaller ones where I don't need as much extra. And if you want to copy this exact layout that I'm doing, that works. Or go ahead and have some fun and do your own. All right. You don't have to do all the leaves that you have. You can, but you don't have to. You can just add until you feel like it's done.
I see, Gina, you're putting your leaves on the outside of the flowers.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm putting mine on the outside because my greeting is going to go in the center, and I've chosen that hello friend.
Okay.
So you see how that's going to take up most of the center there?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. So once I get like all my leaves looking like it feels complete, now I can just go back and with my tape runner or with the glue, I can just retape them in there exactly where I want them. So I always like to lay things out first. Now, what some people like to do is they like to get the design perfect, and then they like to use something like press and seal, which you can do. You can use a piece of press and seal over the whole thing, and it'll kind of like bring the whole floral design up. But the one problem with press and seal is that it's difficult to add the dimension where, see how my flowers are popped up and then my leaves are being glued directly to the card itself. So if you want to pop everything up, press and seal works really well for that. But I really enjoy personally just kind of going around and one at a time fitting things in where I think that they look nice. There we go. And the last part of this card after we put the greetings on is adding sequins. And if you're in a hurry, you can always add sequins later, but I think Heidi and I are probably going to stay and add all our sequins, aren't we?
Yeah, and you know, this is the only time in my life I'm like deleting the yellow. I have some yellow insides to my flowers, and I'm got a white gel pen, and I'm like deleting the yellow.
Really? Because you don't like the yellow? Like it
I
wasn't
like the
what
red,
you
white, and
wanted?
blue effect of this card, and I feel like the yellow detracts from that a little bit.
Gotcha.
So sorry, I got total ADD on my card here and got my white pen.
No, no problem. I'm going to add that. I'm using every leaf that I made. I just want to. I'll put it here. Oh, I think that looks good. That's a lot of leaves, but I think it looks good. I like it that way.
Thanks, Gina.
Oh,
yours is beautiful.
I love the red, white, and blue theme. Wow, Heidi, that is so beautiful. I love that. And you see, I don't know, Heidi, are you going to do more in the empty space or are you going to leave that?
I was just going to put my sentiment in that empty space.
I love that. And I was thinking about how nice that is to just be able to do a little curved design too. You don't need to finish a whole wreath. You can just do that crescent kind of thing and it looks beautiful. I love that. Love it.
Thank you.
You're rocking it, Heidi.
Got my glasses
All
on,
right.
Gina. I'm intent.
All right, well, we're going to wrap up these cards with our greetings and our embellishments. So because we didn't die cut the greetings, I kind of wanted everything to just dry and have a chance to dry. We're going to do that now. So if you've already cut your greetings, then you're way ahead. Ooh, where am I going? It's like I'm looking at it from a spaceship. It's a little bit far down. Okay, so I'm going to cut my greetings. And I can do all three at the same time if I strategically place a little pixie tape or masking magic, which I'm going to do. And then I can't wait to show you my extra cards. I think you're going to like them. It's definitely fun. So this is a masking magic strip, and that's what you saw Heidi using earlier. Masking magic is great for holding dies down. It's easy to tear. and it doesn't tear your cardstock. So I like doing that with die cutting because dies put so much pressure on the cardstock that sometimes if you use a tape that's too sticky, it'll tear your design, and Masking Magic won't do that.
That's why I really like the Masking Magic. It really upsets me when I've stamped and cut something. You know, you spend the time to stamp it. Like even my hello isn't stamped perfectly. I've you know, I'm the student here, so I guess the pressure's off, maybe. But it's so frustrating when you go through all that and then your tape ruins what you just did. So you got to use a tape like a Masking Magic for your dies. Otherwise,
yes. Yeah, absolutely. That can be extremely frustrating. One of the things I love about these dies too is all the little center parts are cut out. Do you like that? When the little center parts drop out? I love that, and you can see things through it. Now this I didn't cut perfectly, but I'm still going to use it. I'm not worried about it. It almost looks like a shadow layer the way that cuts. So I'm going to go with it because I think it's going to look pretty just the same. And I've got my hello friend. Yeah, I love the little pieces when they fall out like that. It's so cute. All right. So always remember to take your die pieces out and don't throw them away. And now we're going to pop our greetings on. Now I'm going to use foam squares for my greetings too. So
this thank you is probably the die of the year, man. It's
you like
so
that?
beautiful. Or I'm sorry, man isn't. You're not a man, but you know what I mean. This thank you is just the right size. I love this font. I'm gonna get my little I need my pokey tool. Here it is.
Yep. Yep.
Really nice job, Gina.
Oh, thank you. The font on here is really fun. It's bright and it's cheerful, and I think it works really well with the flowers. But it'll work with a lot of other things that you have in your collection too. And that's always so fun too, to mix and match what you have with other things you have in your collection and just stretch those supplies. So this is kind of a good one for mixing and matching with other things as well. So I'm using foam squares to pop my thank you up. And I just cut some of mine in half to get that tiny little, I'm going to get my tweezer here. Just to get that on there. Now, if you don't like using the foam squares, you can always cut, 4 or 5 blank thank you panels out of packaging materials or old cardstock or whatever, and you can just layer them all together with the glue, and then, you don't have to worry about doing the foam squares for that if you don't want to. Some people like to do that technique when they're mailing cards because they don't want things to squish down. But I don't mind. I haven't seen any damage happen from using the foam squares instead.
Well, I was going to say something totally different. I was going to say if you don't like to use the foam squares, there might be a therapist for that. Because I love the foam squares. But you're right. When people are mailing, sometimes they don't like to have too much dimension. I doubled up my foam squares on that thank you. But
I like that you doubled it up. I think that's funny, and I get it. But I know some people. I guess it depends too, how rough things happen in the mail sometimes. But you can always just die cut a bunch of them and glue them together too. All right, so I got my happy birthday on that one and my thank you on that one. And now I'm going to pop hello friend right in the center of that wreath. Oh, I love the purple hello friend on there. That's so pretty. That really feels springy. Oh, that's so cute.
Oh wait, that's my old card. That's from that was my practice card. This is my see, every time you do something, that's what happens when you mass produce. You're like, ooh, I would do this different and that different and this different each time. So you get to change things up.
That's true. So I'm just putting foam squares in the middle here, and then I'm going to put tape. I don't even need this one. I'm going to put tape all around the perimeter of this. I just need it to lift in the center because this one is going to stick to all the flowers too. So I'm just adding some tape around the edge. If you use glue, don't worry, the glue will definitely dry if, you know, it's just hanging out there somewhere and it's not touching the paper, but I'm going to just pop that right into the center. And I love scripty fonts like this because you don't have to worry if it's straight because it's just all over the place. It doesn't have to be straight.
I hear you.
Oh, those are fun. Those are fun cards. Heidi, I love what you've done.
You're such a nice teacher. Thank you, Gina. I appreciate your positive feedback and your great instruction for all of us. Now, the best, you know, the icing on the cake is the disco ball.
Yes. Disco ball sequins we've got in here, which is definitely one of the most fun sequins and probably our best-selling sequin because this one is holographic. And so you can put this on any color card and it kind of picks up the color that it's near. So one thing that I like to do when I'm using sequins is I like to put all the dots on first. And let me just start my glue somewhere else so I'm not like, I don't do a glob there. But I like to do all of, oh, I want to show you another tip here. This is a really good tip. So when you're using glue out of a container like this and you don't have a fine tip bottle, squeeze a little glue on some scrap paper. Get it out there like that. And then just touch the nozzle and then touch the paper and you'll get much smaller dots this way. Because if you don't have a fine tip bottle, sometimes it'll just squeeze out too big. And when you're using tiny embellishments like this is just a easier way to get small dots of glue. And then just wipe the tip of the bottle when you're done and it'll clean it up and then you'll be totally fine. So see, I'm just like touching it and then I'm putting it in there. So I'm going to not do the ones that are caught under there. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to do these two. And I like to do them and give the glue a chance to set and be a little tacky.
Ooh, okay.
Because it makes it easier to release the sequins off of your pick and stick or jewel picker.
I got a little overzealous to put mine on, so let me go back.
That's okay. So I'm going to I just wipe the tip of that off and I'm just tapping that down to make sure there isn't any glue stuck in there. I'm going to do this one after because I don't want it to dry too much, but let me move this out of the way and we'll work on this one. But it should allow the sequin to release a little bit easier when it's just a little tacky already. Sometimes you don't put enough glue, but this is working. So just try that tip, you know, and just give it a minute to set and you'll see how quickly the sequins release from your tool.
I was air drying my card, pumping it up and down in the air in case anybody was wondering. Although probably nobody's watching what I've got going on over here.
No, they're watching. They're watching. They're stalking you, Heidi. They're watching. That one is kind of under the thank you, but that's okay. But tell me if that works better for you. If you find any.
Yes. You might be talking to the other people, But
I'm talking to
it's
you.
amazing how just letting that for 1 minute sit aside in the glue, it's much easier to get the glue to grab to the paper instead of stay on my little tool.
Jewel picker.
Jewel
Yep.
picker, yeah.
Yep. And it makes it so much easier too when you use that little technique of, you know, touching the tip of the bottle to like a little blob of glue on your paper. I have more glue on my finger than I do on this sequin. That's the problem here. Okay, here we go.
I had to reload.
That's funny. But that makes a big difference right there. Oh, and don't you just love all that shimmer? I don't know if they can see that shimmer, but it's so fun. All right, so I'm going to do that on this one. And then I'm going to show you my extra cards.
No,
Yeah, that
I
cute
don't
little
want it
triangle.
to be so close to the end. No.
I know. I know, this was so fun. I loved spending time with you and everybody in the chat. It was super fun.
Joyce,
I don't want it to end either.
Yes, and we got. I'm like, when you said that, I started looking at the chat. Joyce, those are little Simon Says stamp triangle trays, aren't they? The cutest little things. Barb, it's great to see you here today. Tracy Adams, I'm glad you're liking the class and the kits. We do have a Christmas in July with Tim, and we actually have a really special thing happening live on Monday at noon Eastern time. For those of you that want a little insider trading information, stay tuned. Monday at noon, we're going to go live again. Jan says, very nice cards, Gina and Heidi. Love all the new colors, Gina. Great new colors of petunia, the marigold, the Kelly green, the cadet. Oh, divine. Thank you for getting them and making this exclusive kit for the students, Gina. That's
I think it's so fun, and I was so honored to be able to do it, really. I appreciate you inviting me to do this so much. I forgot a little spot in there, so I'm going to add a little glue in there. And then I just gave that a second to set. And I'm telling you, you know, there's no rush. I mean, it really does take a little while for this to dry. And also, if you find that your jewel picker is not letting go, make sure you don't have like too much glue on the actual tip of the jewel picker, because that can work against you too. But you can see they're just coming right off the jewel picker with that little bit of setup time. And it's nice that we had 3 cards that we could do. So, you know, there's time in between to let these dry, because I get a little overzealous too, and I want to put the sequins on right away.
I just found another yellow flower.
You did?
It's like a little victory. Woohoo!
You're gonna put it on your card?
I just did. Yay!
Yay!
That looks better.
That's so cute. There we go. All right. Well, should I show a couple extra cards?
Well, yes.
I'm gonna
like
zoom
over
out
here,
a little bit.
chomping at the bit.
All right. Let me just clean. There we go. That's how I clean. I just push stuff out of the way. All right. So here we have all 3 of the cards that we made today, all embellished. Goodness, let's do this. Okay. So I decided that I wanted to like take it up a notch. And I decided to make 1,000,000 flowers, and I made a gatefold card. So check that out.
Oh,
so
Gina.
here I used the violet, and I used the cadet blue. And I just decided to do all the flowers that way. I popped some up and left some unpopped. And then I just made a circle element using the Gina K Designs double stitch circles and single stitch circles. And I used one of the other greetings that I didn't use in these cards. And remember, when you're doing a card like this, only glue the greeting panel to the one side so you can still open it. Now, if you'll notice these little upholstered areas here, I used our gauze background stamp to create a little bit of texture, and then I used Master Layouts 13, which was designed for fancy fold cards. And so it opens this way. You can actually put another white circle there to kind of camouflage that a bit, and you could put a panel in here as well. But isn't that a fun gatefold
Gina,
card?
are you looking at the chat? People are going nuts for these cards. Yes.
Oh, I'm so glad
And
they
I like how
it.
you added the little
Yay.
pearlized embellishments in the middle of these too from your collection. Those are gorgeous.
Tim
Yeah,
Walsh
there
just
are
commented that they are beautiful cards.
Oh,
Hi, Tim.
Tim, thank you. I'm so excited for your class, Tim. I can't wait. All right, I made one more card, and I used our pocket die, and I made a little pocket full of sunshine for everybody. And you can see I didn't make rainbow flowers. I just did some bright colors, pink, yellow, and orange, which are so bright. And I know Heidi's favorite color is yellow, so I made yellow the center. And I just used the Hello Friend here. And I used that same gauze background stamp on some blue cardstock to kind of create the look of denim. I don't know if you can see that, if that's coming through clear enough for everybody. And then I just used gold in the center. That's from the same collection as these silver. They come in like a collection of gold, silver, and black all together. So that's what I used for the center. So I thought, why not have two more card ideas? Boy, I'm taking up the whole screen here. Why not have two more card ideas for everybody so that you can get started right away on all these fun cards, and you can even make more. And then tomorrow we get the luxury of having more beautiful cards by Nicole Sport and Kathy Zilski. So there is a lot of inspiration for one little kit, right?
Absolutely. Reed, are there any questions that people were asking during the chat that when we go to front camera, we can answer?
We hit them all. You hit them right at the end. They were asking when the Tim class will be. So if we want to hit that real quick, that'd be great.
Tim's class is July 11th. Those kits are on sale for a limited time. Those do have exclusive products in them that are never going to be available for sale on our Simon Says Stamp website, including that slotted die. And the class is July 11th. The kits are available while supplies last. And I mean, for today, I'm clicking on the link in the chat for today because we do have a bundle of these products. If you want to bring in Gina next to me, that's cool. The products that Gina designed that we used today, those 2 stencils, the stamps, the 2 sets of dies, and her 4 brand new ink colors in cube form. Those are still, I just clicked through, they're pinned on the top of the chat. We do still have some available for those of you who joined class today and were so inspired by class today that they want to pick up some of those supplies. We wanted to make sure we had some on hand for you, and those are limited too, so those are while supplies last. And Gina absolutely knocked it out of the park with the beautiful whimsy of these flowers, the font of the sentiments, the versatility of all the things we can do with the stamps, the dies, the stencils all working together. The mass production that you've taught us how to do that is so joyful and so much fun. I mean, we should just stamp all weekend, really. Stamp, cut, color, stencil.
It's a great way to spend a humid weekend in the Midwest, for sure.
Yeah. Well done.
This was so much fun. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. It is just so great to see. You're so supportive, and so you just make my day, I'll tell you. It's so great to see everybody.
I mean, it's like a party. It was funny when you showed your other cards in the chat, Gina, the extra 2 cards. You were probably looking at your cards and showing, and I was reading the flood of awesome, beautiful, spectacular. Those are so great, Gina, to see all the positive feedback. What a great community. Thank you to everybody who watched and joined along, crafting or watching live today. What a fun time. And if you're on rewatch, thank you too. We get to do this because of all of you. Couldn't be more grateful. And Reed and Brian here making sure our sounds, our light, all behind the scenes is taken care of. Woot woot for sure. Tara's moderating. It does take a village, and I'm really grateful that we all get to do this together. So happy Friday. Thank you, Gina. Very much love to you, and I hope everybody watching has a wonderful weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.